2 o'clock, a busy afternoon. A ton of individual movers to discuss. These low float runners, there's been one at least every single day this week, sometimes even 2 or 3. We'll talk about that APDN a little bit more. We'll talk about HKD a little bit more, even though interest has completely gone away from that. However, we do have a relatively flat market shaping up here so far this afternoon. The S&P down 0.07, the Dow down 0.19, the NASDAQ up the same. If you look at that board, you'd have no idea how exciting of a day it's been. And wow, has it ever been an exciting day, coming off a slew of earnings that we were talking about and individual movers that have ruled the headlines so far. Nice day for the TSX here in Toronto, up 0.4. Crude oil down, 2.6%. Bitcoin and Ethereum still lagging ever so slightly to the downside as well. I can show you the sector board here. It is a bit of a mixed situation as we saw throughout the midday, but really no change. There's a lot of individual movers here that are offsetting individual movers, leaving the market more or less unchanged. Over here, this is a tech group to start things off. DXC, FTNT, 20% and 16% to the downside off earnings for both, but then this EPAM and C-Day helping to offset that. So back to the upside. Some strength coming out of the semiconductor group, although it has been pretty muted overall. I have to say, AMD is positive on the day. NVIDIA is positive on the day, 5.8% for AMD, NVIDIA just 1.3%. But you can see the rest of these moves down here, relatively little compared to those two at the top. Moderna, 5% coming off earnings this week. Pretty big week for Moderna. Some more monkeypox headlines coming through this afternoon as well. There was a report suggesting the White House was going to declare a monkeypox emergency that had SIGA popping up again. It's getting to that point, though. We're kind of tired of talking about monkeypox, I think. BALL in the materials group, down 18%. Material stocks overall, though, still, if you can believe it, even with these two in positive territory. Energy stocks are negative on the session as well. So one look at that board, and you can see pretty easily, this number up here is relatively flat. We are red, but only just. Hope your afternoon is going well. Hope your day is going well. There was so much to look at this morning if you were with us in the pre-market, ton of opportunity, and then a whole bunch of individual names started popping off and giving you trades as well. So let's jump right into things here. We'll kick off a bit of a review session. We'll figure out how you did this morning, how we can always look to do better tomorrow. Neil is going to lead the way today with a look at one of his trades.
Thank you. Trade of the day is going to be AMC, and we could have done better with this one. We'll talk. There's a little bit of Coinbase that's going to come into play here, but AMC reporting Aftermarket tonight, their earnings. It's been a strong mover all week long. Going to pop over just quickly, show you guys the 60-minute chart, because I didn't only want to show you guys the bottom down at that 1380 to 1420 money spot where it's been a fantastic long the last couple of sessions. I did want to show the top end of the channel. So how did we get to 14 before? We failed an $18 break, 18 to about 18.40. I kind of locked off this, the top 18 to 18.20 here for the channel of concern as we came in this morning. So I'm thinking, okay, the trend's been to the upside until it gets to a magical number like a 20, a big option price. I think we're looking for the longs going into those earnings. You might be concerned there could be a little bit of a sell-off of the news, even if it was a decent number, but that we're ahead of that. This is before earnings in the pre-market. Started off early because it started going right away with just a simple clean level break, right? It was a $19 level break. It only played to about 1940 and then came back in and supported 19. Now, here's where things get a little bit hairy, because I liked longs in general. The 19 break was solid, and it ends up holding support. We'll get to the dip into our channel a little bit after I talk about this open, because there isn't a very good reason why, if I like that play in the 40s, I wouldn't have taken it again at the open. However, something called Coinbase went nuclear with about 5 to 10 minutes before the open, and then into the open, that's all anyone could look at was Coinbase. So there's no chance that I'm going to get that breakout trade, which would have been a play into 1940, probably going to try and hold some into the 20 level, and then a hard rejection. Once it's coming back down, the best thing you can do at times is, if you miss a trade, don't force a trade. As it comes right back into 19, it would have been really easy to try and catch this consolidation on the way down. tiny little one there on the 3-minute chart. All that happens is you would be run over. This is where you have to go back to your basics. You didn't get that breakout at 19 the second time through, so I go back to the channel. Previous resistance channel, I'm looking for it to be support, 18 to 1820 or so. It bounces off the bottom end of that channel, right into the pre-market low. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, well, it's held support, but the market does not want to go. And it looked so incredibly weak. Should have had that reload there at 1820. That's what we were probably looking for. It felt like it was going to break at that point. And now in the afternoon, once you've made that trade, and all you've got is a couple of singles, maybe doubles, whatever you want to call them, we're right back up to above that 19 breakout price. So it's back to square one. It's just establishing that now that you've held this level in this channel back at 19, which didn't happen early, we're now playing into it, scalp some out in front of that 40 because we couldn't break that 40 before, and you still have that wick top, and then work this area here, buying dips into the 19. Will it break 1940 going into earnings? I don't know. But I like it above 19 even, and we're going to continue to play these patterns. Should we have had a reload at the bottom? Definitely. But the biggest thing that saved me on AMC is a lot of times you're trying to catch that trade you missed, which is that breakout at 19 even. That would have been abject disaster because the bottom wasn't until 1820. You could sit there averaging in and maybe hurt yourself a little bit. Sometimes the best trade you make is to go back to basics and only take the real fill, the best fill at the best level that you want. Your trade of the day brought to you by Day Trade the World. As always, check out the QR code below so you can make trades like these, get the capital that you need.
Great move for AMC. Was on the watch list this morning, was AMC ahead of earnings to come after market tonight. That's a link to the watch list we send out every single morning. Make sure you grab that if you haven't done so already. Absolutely free every single day. We do your homework for you and put it into one neat package and give it to you every day. Meta just popping up here, guys, on a volume spike. You can see didn't really do anything, but just saw a note saying Meta Platform sharing their second quarterly adversarial threat report, providing insight into risks they see worldwide across multiple policy violations. So there was a volume spike there for Meta back to the downside, but I'm going to read into that a little bit more. Let's continue the conversation though on AMC. I was mentioning a little bit in the pre-market how it was trading at that point as if they had already reported. A ton of analysts saying this morning that they're expecting this to be an absolute monster of a quarter for AMC as everyone gets back to theaters, as there's been just gigantic movies so far this year.
Yo, what did you just do to AMC, man? In the time that I got from there, which there, by the way, is in front of the desk, back to the desk, it's breaking 19, it's at VWAP, it rolls over, so, well, that was fun. So we're trying to hold support there, but yeah, like we can hope that it's a gigantic quarter. That's not going to necessarily help trades this afternoon. But that was a pretty big sell event that just came in here. I meant to zoom in a little bit. But yeah, it was looking like it was pretty good. It got up to that 40 level. See, and this is the thing, like 1940 couldn't break in the pre-market. And there was decent enough volume early on, and it couldn't get there. The only break was at the open on volume, and they rejected the crap out of that. So maybe it'll hold VWAP here. But what this is telling me is that you get close to 1940, you got to take some out. If it clears 1940, that feels like its own breakout long. AMC starting to give it up a little bit. I got to find some shorts because I had one short all morning, and I got wicked out of it a couple of times. It was Microsoft. I got out of that one. I took one in the afternoon. It was Alibaba, and I got stopped out of that. Need more shorts. Market finding resistance.
Yeah, so we're short. We're short Google. We're short. Oh yeah, you see it on there. We're long Amazon, or sorry, long Amazon, long AMC. We could talk a little bit about AMC. I think Neil and I basically had the same trades today. I mean, I took out that top at 1940, was a great long there to the upside, then a long again, then a long again. So it's been a really profitable name for me today. But we did not get anything out when it went to 1940 again. So that was, I mean, we say this all the time, trading's a difficult job, but really if you just sort of focus, look at key levels, you know, you're going to lose hopefully not more than 50% of the time, but I mean, right there, the market comes back in. You take that long off 1840. There it is, there it is, there. Like all these levels the same, and then it's the same again right there at 1940. So let's just wait to see. I think it's worth holding on a little bit here into the close, as AMC will get ramped up, is going to be my call anyways, just to see if we get that move back to 1940. Then on earnings, I mean, I'm really a bull on this name, so we're going to go like this one more time and go like that and get the apes going, because just all that rhetoric, man, like Top Gun was as big as it was supposed to be. More people returning to the theaters now than even pre-pandemic. So, I feel like it should be good to go, and we'll just wait to see. They always get creative, though, I feel like, with some of the shares and some of the structure and all this kind of stuff. But, okay, right now we are getting back into some serious trading here, because there goes Google to the downside. Try again and again and again until you're finally right, it looks like. We lost once, twice. No, sorry, it was twice. So we got short there and then got out there, I guess. On 1790. Like, I don't know why we got out at 1790. Then a couple more shorts, and now we have a decent position size right now for Google. So I didn't mean to step off of AMC there, but long story short, I believe AMC's a hold. We just saw a nice little move back to the upside there. A nice hold for AMC until we get back up to 1940. Neil just wanted to hit the explosion.
No, I want to grab a water that's not there.
Oh, you want to grab one? I saw Neil go like that, and I was like, uh-oh, do you want to say something? Because our board is right here.
No.
But
I usually have my water.
Isn't that muscle memory? That's hilarious. Like, you reached over to nothing there.
I was weird. I'm sitting there putting an order on Baba, and then I did this to go drink my water. I'm like, I left it somewhere by the bridge when I was talking to Greg.
That's hilarious.
When I get a second, I'll go up and get it.
What did you think about that jerk chicken? I mean, I thought it was really tasty. Not super jerky.
No,
but it was really tasty, like really great chicken. Like,
shout out to Greg, the floor manager, and Prad, who actually apparently did the actual cooking.
I gotta ask him though, did he marinate it in a sauce he made himself, or was it like
he didn't tell me? But what he said,
just like a brand name.
His girlfriend spent like 2 hours getting the fat off of it, because like often you do like jerk chicken dry, so you don't want the fat sometimes.
Okay, so let me
did that, and then the seasoning. He did the seasoning.
He did the seasoning. I just want to say something. So like the party was for his girlfriend, but he made his girlfriend rip off all the fat on the chicken. I love this man even more and more now.
Well, I'm just telling you what he did. Well, I mean,
hey.
It was
He's
very
not
good.
here. He's not here. They're doing a class right now, so he can't, like, if you notice behind us right now, at about 2 p.m. every single day, Greg and Branko's over there, I think, is in the meeting as well.
I think it starts at 1,
actually. Does it start at 1? I don't know. I feel like I've seen them before. Anyways, they do meetings, so if you do want to sign up or become part of our team, visit daytradetheworld.com, and you'll be able to find some links there to different offices and whatnot. And I'm sure, although every office is run independently, nothing like having that group think and getting your stuff straightened out. So thanks to everybody for that one. And back over to Brendan, and I believe I'm going to predict something. What are we going to talk about next? Let me see. Lucid production. Okay, let's see if we're right. Let's go back over to Brendan.
How on earth did you know, Sean? The one thing with AMC as well, guys, remember I think it was the last earnings report, they disclosed, speaking of tricks, they disclosed they bought that gold mine as well. So we'll see if we have any more gold mines in this report tonight. APDN, guys, just popping back up through 6 as well on some volume. Still keeping my eye on that one. Yeah, let's talk about Lucid, because bit of a grind back higher after that flush aftermarket yesterday, following that production guidance cut once again from Lucid.
I feel like
it's Greg's girlfriend. I don't know if I said Prad's. People are like, wait a second.
Yeah, Greg's girlfriend.
Prad holding out on us on that one, but it's Greg. Prad's going to India to find a girlfriend. I mean, he might not.
Girlfriend?
Or wife. Yeah. I think why
get him
not?
Get him locked down.
I mean, why not? I mean, the guy's going there. He's complaining that he's spending $2,600 on a return flight.
Make
he's going
it worth
to
it.
a wedding. He's going to his brother's wedding, I think he said. So, I mean, if you're not going to get hooked up at that point, then
if I wasn't with my brother's wedding, if I wasn't with my wife, obviously. It was. I'm telling you, it's always a good time. Like if your family's close, like you're gonna get a good group of people there. Why not? He's spending $5,000 or whatever it is to fly across the pond.
I mean, it's part of the culture too. Arranged marriages.
It is.
I'm gonna speak to Prad's. There he is, right there. Prad, I need to speak to your moms, man. Give me hook up the phone number. I want to figure out this arranged marriage stuff. I think you'd be less bitter. I think you'd be.
If I get arranged marriage, you have to find a new host.
Why is that?
It's an Indian wife. I'm gonna have to spend all my time with her. Like
Okay. Okay. They can't hear you. I'd love you to come back on the show.
So,
and say, let's just recap. He said if he finds a arranged wife, basically, it's going to take up all of his time and yada, 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 yada. So he'd have to play less Xbox and things like that. And he'd
That's
have to
so bad,
focus
right?
on the uman of his life.
So you'd focus more on the family and the work. That's not the end of the world.
This guy's awesome.
Apparently, we're supposed to be talking about
Wow,
Lucid.
did you hear what Elon Musk said?
Oh, God, Elon, what now?
He goes, he had more kids in quarter 2 than Lucid made cars. Wow, savage. Apparently that happened on that podcast that he's going to be on right now.
That's cold.
That is
That's
cold
cold.
as ice right there. I am tweeting
But let's be
that
real.
out.
But let's be real. We said it this morning. It's like, so Lucid barely produces anything, and they get crushed. Lordstown, because they haven't even gotten to production yet and had good reservation numbers, they were up. They didn't make crap, Lordstown either, but it's like, once you're in the ball game, you need results, right? Like if you're in the minor leagues, like, suddenly people care about like, yeah, hey man, does he look fast? Can he throw? That's good, but once you're in the bigs, you got to hit. And Lucid didn't. But the truth of the matter is, and look, I was short this thing all pre-market. You can see like the purples, I'll zoom in for you. The purples, those are all shorts. We think we're cute. It's 8 o'clock, we're shorting it. It's 8:30, we're shorting more into the high. And then at 9:30, right at the open, if it cannot break the low, it tries to go up one more time, tries to take out this 18 quarter area, short it one last time. You see it hold 18 even. And if there's the only thing I was able to at least do right about this was I said if it holds that level, I gotta take my stop out. I should have reversed. You're gonna see I took like 10 cents here on a long. That's because this last little fill that I was able to get right before the open, I hadn't adjusted my stop order. So my stop was still as if I hadn't taken that fill, meaning I was still gonna get long a little bit because I had too much on that order. I just got out of it right away. I wasn't intending to go long. It's just another one of these, down more than 10%, has a short float. It's already punished, can't make a fresh low at the open, only place to go is up. I don't see a trade for the rest of the day. You can see here it's only going sideways, so it's out of my mind at this point. The real play, I guess, would have been to reverse into the long. Didn't do it. Can't change that now. What can I say? I mean, I'm still pretty bearish overall in the quarter they had, but when it's heavily shorted, price action is what it is. And when I say ride, Lordstown, like they were up. They're actually NASDAQ. They were up this morning, and I did try to grab a long, and it's like, okay, stop out. Look at the stop out on Lordstown. I mean, it's not a huge hit, but it's still an ugly, ugly out, right? Like I gave it right down into these pre-market lows, and then it makes a fresh high. Now, look how strong Lordstown is, and they didn't make a thing. Gives it right back, however, but the real story here for Lucid was just how incredibly strong it was at the open. Shorts have to cover somewhere, and they did at 9:30.
I still can't believe that I just tweeted that out. Find me at TraderTV Sean, but it's not me, man. It's the man, the myth, the legend himself, Elon Musk, tweeting that out. So
there's a lot of kids.
That's hilarious, though, man. Like just throwing so much shade at Lucid. That was great. Okay, I had Lucid listed as the #1 trade idea today to go short, but obviously, we went short. Like everything was fine until eventually it broke out through 1850. So, we wound up actually taking the L on this one today. I'm fine to admit that. I mean, I was thinking it was a short. I'm sure many of you were as well. Producing 6,700 cars or 6,000 to 7,000 cars projected, not great. And they only did 600. I mean, what Elon was saying was, I'm hoping he didn't father 700 kids, but 679 vehicles in the quarter as a delivery number. That ain't great. So I'm pretty sure that all of us would agree with that one. So I feel like the short was the right play. Obviously today you're up actually on the day. You're not up on the day, but you're up from the open pretty good. 1760 up to 1850. So you give yourself about 80 cents worth of a move there. And look, if it doesn't want to go down today, then I'm thinking that maybe breaking through this 1860 to the upside might be a good play. I'm going to leave it alone. It was a bad read, but a name that's been sort of going to the upside. And I thought we did confirm that Fisker did report as well. That one, I mean, look at this. This was a shot to the upside and now right back down again. So, some of these names are coming up to some key levels right here. I mean, if you look how good this looks to break 1050 on Fisker. So, I mean, if this comes back down, Monkeypox is a national emergency again, apparently.
Is it though?
Just declared by the government right there. So let's see what's going on with GovX right now on this. So possible break here of 340 on GovX. I'm going to take it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, SIGA just popping up as well. Biden was supposed to do this today, and it looks like they have. So yeah, the White House declaring a national health emergency for monkeypox. Here's his tweet, guys. It was in response to this Gary Black, who was talking about the numbers from Lucid and Elon with the winning Twitter for the day, for sure. He had more kids in Q2 than they made cars. That's amazing. SoFi, monster yesterday, was back in action again, very active, in fact, in the pre-market this morning on that earnings report from yesterday that was way, way better than expected.
All right, just 1 second, because you thought of GovX right away. Look, you always think about, like, what's the first thing comes to mind when big news comes in? I thought SIGA. GovX is the other one, right? So.
Which one went?
Monkeypox.
I mean, GovX didn't do anything.
No, so SIGA look, we're going to get to SoFi in a second, but SIGA broke the high, rejected, came right back to where it was. I'm like, okay, well, I'll take a shot there in front of 19 even, just see what we can do. Like, it had a consolidation here at 1880 anyways, so I grabbed some shares, pretty much where it just settled down. I was able to get 35s, 34s, doesn't really matter. Just thinking, are we really going to end up lower and beneath support off of that kind of news? It's certainly possible, but it's been generally strong there with a decent trend. A good shot at a potential breakout, because if you look at where we topped out, that 1970, that was the lower high from a couple of days ago. Maybe better seen there when this thing absolutely flushed. You had this lower high at about 1970. So that's the level of concern on SIGA. It has to chew through that level first, but there's a lot of room to the upside from there. We did play SoFi this morning. Started out okay, and this is what will happen. Like, you get in, it's like that first time, like these wicks at 6 a.m. And there's one at the open. Sorry, guys. So the first try was off of this break at 8 1/4. Don't get the break, just like AMC. All eyes are on Coinbase at that particular moment. Unfortunately, that's just how it was. I was watching Coinbase. Robinhood came out of nowhere. SI, all these names were going nuts. So I missed the breakout. Take it on the way back in front of that 8 1/4, and then it was good to 850. What wasn't good was the reload, because the reload back in just got taken right into 810, pick up a little bit more in the consolidation, and then it just flushed through 8 even. I got out, and it manages to hold at 785. Kind of random, but worth noting, when it was $7 dip by yesterday, I liked 685 for support. If I had just done the same thing and given it to 785, that would have been your bottom. Still, I'd say a relatively good recovery there, because you're back to VWAP and the levels I was taking that were successful, 825. So there's a chance we can make a run at that high of the day on SoFi. But it's very much barcoding and a bit of sleep here. The difference is AMC has a catalyst of, kind of like they have earnings after market here. Like, SoFi's had theirs. So if they're going sideways this time, I don't want it. But AMC could get some juice because, of course, they still have to report.
So we went long in GovX, breaking 40. We got 42s. So we're long now on GovX. We just talked about that SIGA and Monkeypox and whatnot. But I think you're late to the party on this one for sure. At least I am, anyways. At this level, you want to be into something before like announcements are made. Not like after they're made. So this has already come out. We already know about this, about Monkeypox, and about it's declared a national emergency and all this kind of stuff. And so it's not really moving off that. Like, if I had known, the real play would be get long here, knowing that it's coming out at this time, and then you take advantage of guys like me that are punching in at this time, right? And so I feel like, hey, wait a second, there's a YouTuber that does stuff like that. Not us. Right there, 360 to the high for GovX. That was the high yesterday in the aftermarket. We can see if it gets to that again. I'm going to get out where this started from. So, drop down to 325. I'm only going to try to get this 20 cents, upside. If, like I said, there's that 360. I won't get out of everything, but I think that that's where we could go. So that's 20 cents. I'll give this backside down to 325 or so. I'll give it about that 20 cents the other way. So we'll see if that can happen for us. Lots of size, lots of volume, 45 million shares shares. I'm not scared of the size. It's just the momentum right now is not going. So if it's not going, then it must probably only go down, right? And so watch out for that play there on GovX. SoFi day 2. I mean, I don't have any trades on SoFi. I mean, I have a lot of trades today, but just nothing on SoFi. So yesterday was, for me, SoFi day. We talked about that. Here's the trade for me yesterday, long in the pre-market. And as soon as we dipped down there off the open, we got long at $7 and ripped this all the way. I mean, all the way up, like all the way up to 8.30. Our best out looks like it was 8.25, and then we got out again at 8.25 again there in the afternoon. And now today you're back at that same level, 8 and change. So, you know, SoFi on day 2, it's actually nice for shareholders. I feel good. I'm a shareholder here, but I just feel that, you know, it's holding up pretty good today after that 20% move or so. I'm not sure where it ended yesterday on the percentage scale, but it's nice to see SoFi holding up. I think it can do that. We've talked about the daily range on this name. You're well above this breaking spot, which is why we went long yesterday at 7, because we were breaking above it. I don't know why there's 2 candles like this here, but this is a daily chart. So breaking above 7 and holding there is the key for SoFi. So I still think you stay long the name until you get back through 7 on the downside, which, you know, with this market, who knows when that's going to happen. You're a couple reports away from something, you know, like a short seller report could tank this thing and vice versa. Like, I don't know. But SoFi, yeah, above 7, it looks pretty healthy.
We're going to do a segment coming up here, guys, on how to successfully identify a squeeze and what to do when you see one to navigate it successfully. But it's worth a note, there has been 1, 2, 3, 4 of these every single day this week that kicked off with this HKD AMTD mess. QNRX kind of gone to sleep here today, back at 16. Holding as support, but it did give you a bit of a trade or an opportunity anyways this morning. APDN, on the other hand, back to day highs here, trying to get going once again.
Oh, I could have done an APDN, but I was actually going to talk NVIV first. And this one, look, this one came up, and about at 9:30, it was instantly halted at the open to the upside. Like big mover at 7 a.m. You'd already seen it double up and pull back in, but it held a higher low. The bids came in at 9:30, and this is one thing to keep in mind. Like with these low float names or these small cappers, you just always want to remember that just because it fades from the pre-market highs on low volume, a lot of people aren't tuning in or aren't looking at this or aren't excited about it till 9:30 where they can start buying, and then you might get a big bounce. So like instantly that's what happens. Like the market comes open, it halts up, starts breaking out. I don't take it until it makes this break of the previous high. And I immediately scalp some out. It's like, okay, fine, it wants to give you a quick 70 cents. It goes to 14. At this particular point, all I'm thinking about is how I traded that QNRX the day before, where I wasn't giving it space. If I want 15s or 20s, and 15s is what I wanted in this particular case, then you have to be willing to hold out. I said, unless it breaks back down below 11, I'm going to put a stop in there, and we'll see if they can't ride. It even halted down, which has been a trap a lot of times. You've been seeing these when they make a breakout and they halt without breaking back below a key level. It opens up flat, tries to take out the high again, and then we just stop out on it. It's just one of those where if you want to give yourself a shot, not everything's going to be an HKD. They're not all going to go forever. But the truth is, like, you have to have a little bit of a piece on. It could not, even once it reclaimed that level at 11, it couldn't take out those fresh highs, which you wanted to see a challenge. So this one's probably done for the day. I'm not sure it's going to catch a bid. It continues to slide even as we see. That being said, if you bought this yesterday, and this is how they work, right? If you're long from the day before or really early in the pre-market, you're still in the money, which does put it in play for day 2, day 3. But for today, it does feel like this one is all but done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much more. We will do a video to talk about low floaters and things like that. Floaters. So immature I am. But
I chuckled. What?
Yeah, when you said it yesterday, I was like, now I can't get out of my mind because that's exactly what I thought about it. I just think you got to be careful. We've talked about that, and know the catalysts, know the key levels, things like that. But they're going to continue to exist. And I just think that if you're going to do some homework, then that's what you need to do. You need to find stocks that fit similar patterns to what we've already seen before, right? I mean, we talked about that AMTD versus HKD. I mean, AMTD brought what was like 15 names to market since 2020. And like the average return on those are 75% downside. So if you took every one of those plays, you're actually up a hell of a lot of money because you would have HKD, I would assume, at the same time. But again, you know, always risky to do that kind of stuff. And it's more for swing trading, obviously, and day trading, not for investing. But we will get into that a little bit more. It's just, this is the market we live in. I mean, last year, or I guess 2021, in the spring, we had AMC going off. We had GameStop. We had even stock like Palantir. DraftKings was up to like, was it $65, something like that, or $80? We had a lot of names going crazy. We called them the meme craziness. And then this year, it seems to be basically the same thing, but these Chinese names and biotechs and just, you know, anything to do. Last year it was COVID. We saw vaccine names going crazy. This year it's going to be, look, apparently monkeypox now. So yeah, just keep your ear. And I think that's the wise thing to do, is just, you know, maybe pay attention to like geopolitical and what's happening there, and then try to take a risk maybe on some of these biotech companies that have something in the pipeline and or are low float stocks. So yeah, it's always fun to trade, and you know, we're going to be here doing that every single day. So if there's any names you guys want, keep them in the chat. But yeah, pump and dumps have been around for absolutely forever. Google Timothy Sykes and all those guys like that.
I don't remember the name of it, but the first stock I ever owned, it wasn't really an investment because it was a penny stock. I can't call it investment. I don't even remember the name of the company.
There goes GovX,
I just remember someone talking about like you know, this tip on this stock. It's got this catalyst. I bought it. It pumped into the news. I was like, oh my god! The first thing I ever owned. It was like up 40%. I didn't sell a damn thing, man. I was thinking it was going 10x. I ended up like losing like 10, 15%. I take your profit. But Butternut Squash is back. Thank you for the super chat. AEMD.
What's up, Butternut?
It says, what would the upsides for AEMD be with SSR in effect? I actually don't see this as being, it's not SSR on our system. So I don't think it's short sell restricted, which doesn't make sense to me because I look at yesterday's trade and yeah, it feels like it could have gone down enough to be SSR, but maybe it is on our system. But so what that means when something is SSR is that you can't hit the bid without an uptick to sell shares short. Like you can sell shares that you have to the long side, but to sell short, you need an uptick, which can make it a little bit more difficult for a stock that's running to get sold off. Sometimes it just has it go a little bit faster. This one gave it up yesterday. I thought we could hold the 185 to 2 channel. You can see I did have some longs in there. So that's a long way of saying pretty key area that it's getting back to, like getting back above that 85. If you look at this high here, that's about 185 into this 2 range. If it holds that, I think you're talking about 230 to 240. They do report next week, so I guess you're going to have to contend with that. So that's why you want to take some profit into that. Like, look, bad earnings report in a small cap, and all of a sudden you give back any gains that you had. So that's a good channel in there. If it reclaims this, I think you're looking for the 30 to 50 range at best before those earnings.
Here we go, and we're going to do it bang right now because check out GovX right now. Nice little move to the upside here, 380. Starting to take it off, so it's be a big move right now for GovX. There goes GovX to the upside. We just took that long through 340. It's starting to go, man. Declared monkeypox, you know, situation is back, so let's go. Nicely moved to the upside. GovX 340 long, out a little bit. We're still holding 50% of this trade as it starts to move to the upside. So a good name here. GovX and Sega, definitely ones to watch as we trade them live right here on the show. Punched along through 340, and there's another out right there at 380. So we'll go bang for that one and see if it can continue to make. There it is, 382, 383. It's GovX time, baby. We're long and we're loving this one, Brendo.
Just seeing a couple other ones popping up here as well. The list is ever growing. Remember, APDN has a monkeypox test kit as well. So APDN kind of tied into that group also. Coming up, guys, in about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. Danielle Shea is going to come through. We're going to talk about earnings, a ton to get through as well, but also about the overall market. We'll get her take on what to expect next week in front of that CPI number on Wednesday. And of course, AMC aftermarket tonight.
Just very quickly here, not to get away from topic, but Vinco Ventures is halted. I'm going to check the code. I see in the chat you guys putting in there that it's news pending. One way you can always check that. I'm going to go right ahead and do it live here. And it's not. It just halted. It's not even on the board yet, but you'll get a reason code the second it comes up. It just halted maybe, what, like... It's been a while now. We'll see what happens. Anyways, I don't even see it on. The earlier is down there. It's T12, so it looks like it halted 144. It's information requested. That is different from news. An info request, I don't want to say it's bad, but a lot of times that might not be a good thing. So watch out if you're trading that information request. It's a 70-cent stock, penny stock, but they can still be movers. Not going as much as GovX. It's like the first thing that came to my mind was SIGA. The better name was clearly GovX there. There's a lot of those monkeypox names. APDN I checked, didn't really move. I've gotten one hit to the upside so far on SIGA. So if you're watching some of the monkeypox names, they're not all going. APDN as well. This one, I had this one twice today. Breakout at 450 was great. The 650 break was no good at all. We had the 450. My last out was in front of 6, and then we took a 650 and got stopped out at 6 even, and it's actually holding up. It's one of the, I talked about this yesterday. It's so much easier early on buying a look, triple top, consolidation, take the break. Try to buy a top after a parabolic move. It's just not the same thing, right? Like if you can get one of these early, that's the way to play it. You know, and if you have to chase it late, just do it for less size or something, right? Otherwise, you just give back what you made before. So that story is still going to be true forever, I think is going to be the case. Overall market, by the way, sideways for now, but putting in some lower highs.
Ooh,
and I want to go, well, I don't know if we'll stay sideways. Going back over to what I do want to short again, which I was shorting pretty much most afternoon, although I was long this morning on Alibaba. Gave that up at 98. Tried shorting the 97 level for a little bit. That didn't last long. Then I went back to 98 being the key until it broke. It was actually a good short. Got in the 97 there, so it was pretty profitable. But then 98 broke out, got out of it. Now I want to get back in. It hasn't flushed through this bottom, but I like to be able to take a shot shorting it off this 99 high that it just made. I want to attack weakness if I have to play on the short side here, as the market is overall flat. I mean, something like Amazon, it's at a nice little high, but it's been so strong that's tough to do.
Okay, why am I long Apple right now? Oh yeah, because I got out of my short. Damn it, Apple. Okay, so yeah, just regrouping here on this trade here. Did not mean to have that Apple. We actually got stopped out of Apple to the upside, but we did reload, of course, into our Google shorts. We never got stopped out, so I shouldn't say we reloaded. We actually were making some keystroke errors. I was testing something out there on Twitter, but that's no excuse, but we did get out and then back in, so that's why you're seeing I thought I got stopped out up here, but I didn't. There's no buy up here to stop me out, so we just did. My stop out's up here, 1810 or higher. So we get back into Google here on the short side of things, and let's just start taking some more profit if we can. We do have a decent position here on Google as it's coming back in. So yeah, a little bit of a day save, not day saver, but a nice move back in for Google. Wish we had more shares on that one, but I just. Yeah, are we done our little rundown there? I guess we are.
We're done the rundown.
Okay, good. We're done the rundown now. So we do look forward to having, obviously, Daniel Shea come on in about 10 or so minutes. That should be really fun. Talking some earnings. We have Palantir up next week, and some of these runners. And she was talking about shorting some of these Cathie Wood type names. I guess let's find out if that strategy is still going on for her. I know she was a big Tesla bull. That's been bang for that call because Tesla, and shout out to Randy who came on here and advertised like crazy for them as well. So yeah, anyways, that's kind of just a joke. But regardless, I mean, joke, but kind of true, I guess.
It's true.
The best sales guy around for Tesla, Randy Bucking, part of Trader TV Live. So
get him a free one.
Yeah, thanks, Randy, for all that, my man. But okay, let's go. I just want to just keep on talking Google. I'm just going to keep getting out. Like, this is what I do. Luca was talking about that, getting in and out, trying to scout, trying to take more shares. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not. But right now with Google, we'll see if we can hold the rest to the downside. It's really resisted. Like, these are all shorts, right? Like, I've been short all day. Every single one of these ticks is a short, yet it's still in the middle. So I got to take advantage of this when it comes back to the upside. This was my single biggest trade right there, short 119 all the way down to 117. Will this market fall? We are now below the 50 period here on the 1 minute chart. But I mean, I feel like you got to use 5-minute charts, 15-minute charts, so on and so forth in this market. It's so wild right now that if you're just going to scalp off of a 1 minute bars, things like that, that's very tough to do. And I'm realizing that myself because it goes down 20 cents. I'm like, there's more to go. But then it just pops right back up again, right? So I feel like just like this on Google, like I was literally, as my kids say, just getting out here at 70, hoping for a little bit of a dip. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, this thing rips up 20 cents to the north side. So yeah, very, very frustrating. But hey, as the world turns here, Neil, the market's going to keep doing its thing. There, and I was talking about GovX up to 80, 90s there, almost took it out. I'm going to take another piece out on GovX as we're at 374 right now. We've already got out of half. Let's take out another piece. Make sure that we capture some profits now in the money, 10% on this GovX trade.
Whether it is a low float gamma type squeeze or a traditional old short squeeze, we've had a ton of questions this week on squeeze stocks specifically. We're going to tell you in this video how to not only navigate them safely, but also some opportunity awaits. Guys, it all kicked off with this. HKD started things off going 14,000% from its IPO price, topping out above $2,500 on the back of AMTD Idea Group, who, while we're here, why don't we look at this, which is a list of all of the companies that AMTD has brought to market going back to 2018 and the resulting gains, or not so much, that followed. So this is not their first attempt at this, but they were successful finally in getting one of these low float stocks to put in a monstrous move, guys. How on earth do we trade these safely?
So the first things first, everyone wants these to turn into an HKD or turn into a GameStop or turn into an AMC. And from what I've been able to see for most of them, they go really crazy or have those incredible gains like HKD is. You have a bit of a pattern. I'm going to show you a 15-minute chart. I'm going to kind of zoom away so that you can't see the present. But if you go back at the beginning of this, and this is in, 2 to 3 weeks ago on HKD, it comes out at about 13. And we have seen this before where you have a very low float issue that catches a bid, the float gets soaked up, and there's really not enough available shares for any naked shorts to be able to cover, and you get a bit of a rally. And I say a bit, it goes up 250% from that price. But what happens next is it falls back in just one day. And this is where it always gets interesting, because when you have something that does this, that capitulates and doesn't head lower, it's like on the one day, if it doesn't break the low, there's only one place for it to go. It should be dead. There's nothing fundamental why it went up in the first place, but it doesn't. It hangs around, finds support at that issue price, and then makes a higher low. And this is where the second breakout, when it happens, they're usually pretty magical. You'd think a stock that goes 13 in a few days to 30, back into 14, it should be dead. But no, when you make that secondary break, and it was about 32, 33, then things got crazy. And you would think that would be it. It's not. The same pattern again. It dies again, but manages to hold, this time, a higher low. This time it goes to 78. This has already now done 2 capitulations, and you do not even break a support level. Form a double support, and what happens when it breaks the next high? Up to 500. There's a bit of a pattern you're going to be able to see here. And I always caution people for this. You would if you're going to swing on something like this and try to hold for the moon, there's a big difference between being long a 40 break in a stock which started at 13, being long when it took out 80, and trying to grab the 200 long, or trying to take it if it makes a breakout at like 500 or something. And don't get me wrong, this is what happens when it broke 500. The 1,000 break was good too, but those are much more difficult trades psychologically to be able to hold on to. Most people, you're not going to be able to do it. You're just going to see any dollar sign and be able to take it, and it got increasingly illiquid the higher it got. You almost couldn't trade the thing when it was above $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, liquidity obviously is scarce there on HKD. I mean, that went crazy. Was it 32,000% or something up to the high side there? This article only has 14,000, but I'm going to go with Applied DNA Sciences. This is the same article here, if you come to the screen that Brendan had up. But if you scroll down, it says right here, APDN stock versus HKD and AMTD. So I'm going to go with Catalyst as how you kind of navigate through some of these to figure out if you want to become an investor or, just looking for these meme stock squeezes, right? Applied DNA Sciences, they got a validation of its monkeypox, okay? So when that happens, right, it's going to start their PCR test, right? So when that happens, then you say, okay, now there's a reason for something to go through, right? And so here's APDN, and this is often happens with bioscience names, right? I mean, you just as research happens, they're spending money, then all of a sudden, boom, they get that validation and something they're working on, a company you've never even heard of. I mean, you just take Moderna, for example, right? That was a $5 name, and we saw where that went, right? So all of a sudden, APDN has something that everybody wants, and then it just shoots right up to the upside. So even if we look at a longer chart here of this name, sure, we've been up here before, $6. You can look at some of these levels, just like Neil just went over technical levels, which is why I'm going over, a little bit of more the macro versus the micro issues pertaining to the company versus outside, right? So it's just like, as that comes through, if these are gonna be the guys and these are gonna be the PCR tests that they're gonna use, then yeah, you could blow up way up to here. So I feel like investing or trading something that has a catalyst when you're comparing it versus these low float names, although APDN doesn't have a huge float, I believe it's only 8 million shares, but you could see 75 million shares done today as it's starting to go to new highs. So not only has this continued, but you can see it's 3 or 4 green bars in a row here on the daily chart. So APDN, again, find names with catalysts, and those might be the ones that you can trust a little bit more than some of these crazy runners that just seem to be going because of short float and or just float in general.
Part about being a short-term trader is that when an event happens like this, it ignites almost this movement that happens throughout the rest of the market, where you get not just 1 or 2 days, guys, worth of trading, but at this point, a week and a half worth of amazing trading and amazing volatility, whether it's a low float gamma type squeeze or just a pure short squeeze. You got to be all over these squeeze names going forward. I was just going to mention one more thing. I forgot. BVNRY on the pink sheets. This is a company out of Norway, I believe it is. They have one of the only monkeypox vaccines available right now. So this is another one, guys, on the pink sheet starting to go crazy. BVNRY.
How do
I have the only monkeypox name doing nothing? Like, seriously?
Well, no, there was a problem with. Oh, I just saw that same thing. I just saw the same note that Brandon saw there. I was going to say something about pink sheets versus every other exchange, right? Is that it is extremely dangerous. If you come over on illiquid names, it's not. I mean, we'll sit here and trade those DDs and Luckin Coffee and GBTC, but when you're looking at these names, you have to remember some of this liquidity here is very sparse, right? A lot of traders that trade, like you'll see an 80, like look, 82, so like right there, 81, 3,000. There's not 3,000 shares here at 81. That's 100 shares, right? So look at all this. All of these orders that are coming through right now on the market will be either iceberg orders or hidden orders or something like that. So when you're looking at the market, you have to make sure that you understand that even though we're showing here, 1,400 shares, this easily could be 14,000, could be 140,000. It could get pulled and then it's gone. So this is sort of the difference between OTC markets and New York or the NASDAQ, is the fact that some of these names won't have as much liquidity. So when you're looking at monkeypox names like BVNRY, you have to be careful of the spread as opposed to GBTC, which you could see here has shares, has spread, and actually has movements. Right now, Bitcoin's not moving, but the point is it's a much different name here when you're looking at GBTC, which on the chart looks like this, as opposed to BVNRY, which has gaps and different fills and even a larger spread. So just be careful of liquidity when you're trading some of these names over on OTCX. Shout out to OTCX.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very important thing. You've got to know the market that you are trading. And understand, like, there's nuances about it. This is why we stick to names that we're comfortable with. Because you know what the liquidity is like, because you understand how it moves, you know a little bit about the range. That's why I'm going back. I want to short something, and I'm going back over to Alibaba. I've been trading it more or less all day long. It just got right back to that 98 level that we were playing off of before, so back to shorting it at 98 after a bit of a failed break. It's 97.89 that I actually have, but we teed it up, and I believe we are ready to go. Miss Danielle Shea is ready, so let's go over to Brendan and our guest.
Yep, as mentioned, Danielle Shea, VP of Options at Simpler Trading, back with us once again for a Thursday options chat to discuss a busy week that was. Once again, Danielle, great to see you as always. Let's start. I mean, Let's get into earnings here first because there's been so many this week, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of these crazy stocks that are moving around. But AMD was one of the bigger ones from this week, gave you a pretty good opportunity. If you were trying to maybe take a 2 or 3 day type of trade on this, what was your approach for AMD this week?
Absolutely. So, going into AMD earnings, AMD was a little bit extended, so it didn't really seem like a good time to get long at that point. But the best thing about earnings season this quarter in particular has been that we're seeing some pullbacks, and those pullbacks are being bought. So the best entry on AMD, especially for a swing trade, is using what I like to call the post-earnings momentum setup. And this is where you look at high quality stocks that, they do well on EPS. They have a long run rate of being a strong bullish candidate. And then after earnings, if they just drop slightly into key areas of support, that's a great moment in time where you can come on and put on a swing trade, especially on something like Microsoft.
Couple of signs this week that maybe, or data points at least, that kind of signal that maybe the economy is faring a little bit better than some had suspected with that PMI number that kind of kicked off the rally going back to yesterday, specifically in tech stocks. We've seen a number of those really severely beaten down names. SoFi comes to mind, PayPal comes to mind, pop up not only on that, but earnings as well. PayPal was a monster overnight, if you caught it, on the overnight move, but it was a bit of a fade post earnings and post that Elliott Management news of the big stake. How did you play PayPal this week?
So looking at a chart of PayPal, I think this is a great chart to look at because this right here, it's a reversal. So first of all, PayPal is obviously in a downtrend. We had a couple different earnings reports that didn't go so well for the stock, but this is the area that I love to focus on. So if you zoom in and if you see exactly where it shifted patterns, it really shifted patterns in the 2-week time frame prior to earnings. You can see where the candles now break up above the key moving averages, and instead of being underneath them where it's resistance, they're now on top of them, which is support. So at this point, this chart has shifted patterns, and this is one I would actually, I'd like to go long. Now, as far as going long right here, it's not really a great moment in time to do it today just because it already had the massive gap up on earnings, and now it's pulling back. But if PayPal can pull back down into the $90 price point, that would be right at the 8 EMA. And if it could hold, that would be a good spot to start trading it to the long side again.
It's now getting to a point where we can say, okay, things are fine. Some indexes are not necessarily giving the all clear moment yet, or haven't given the all clear moment yet. But in your mind, are we getting close at least to that point where things are back to somewhat viable?
I think at this moment in time, we've gone through a lot of key earnings reports. And I do think that there was a point in time where the market just kind of reached peak bearish sentiment. And so now we're at this juncture where even though there are a lot of data points that are negative, traders are actually looking more at the positive aspects of the data and focusing on that. So, I definitely think, especially if you take a look at the NASDAQ daily chart, now that we've broken through a lot of key areas of resistance, we broke through the June highs, right, just this week. Right now, this is the next major zone. You have about 13,500 in the NASDAQ futures. I think that if we break that zone, we can easily trade the NASDAQ up to 14,000. And again, this is NASDAQ futures, not the NASDAQ composite. But I don't think that the final bottom is in. I feel like the data's gotten a little bit better. We've gotten through a lot of earnings. I feel like we can trade to the upside for a while, but there's still a lot of key data points that are going to loom on the market throughout the course of the fall and the winter.
Key earnings reports still to come as well. We're through obviously the mega cap tech names, all of the big ones, but still some interesting names to get through as well in this earnings season. One that we got this week was Coinbase, and a big move obviously on this BlackRock news. Coin is another one of those stocks. You can kind of throw it in with the PayPals, the SoFis that have had quite the year to the downside. How are you looking at a Coinbase right here?
So for something like Coinbase, the main focus for me is going to be the short interest, because there's going to be a lot of stocks right now that the fundamentals just are not making sense. And, Bitcoin's down and whatever else, but but because of that, you have stocks like this that are so heavily shorted. I mean, Coinbase has about 20% high short interest. And so what that means is that when there's a random news event, an announcement, and it gaps up like this, there's a high potential for a really good momentum move. The way that I trade these kind of tickers is basically I'm looking for tickers that are on their lows. They have at least 10% short interest. And I'm looking for something that has broken through a previous high. So if you look at this Coinbase chart, you can see that there were previous highs right around 77. And then there's also quite a bit of resistance around 114. We did break through the 77 price point, and even though it's up 10%, it hasn't continued on throughout the day. So that's actually when I was looking at this morning, but I decided to pass on it because if you look at the lower time frame chart, the momentum didn't hold on, right? So what I'm looking for is a ticker just like this, but I want to see it gap up and then I want to see it continue. And those are fantastic day trades because you have short sellers just dying to get out.
Speaking of stocks that have been heavily shorted and have made big moves to the downside, these Chinese names have been under huge pressure all year long as well. We're starting to see a little bit of signs of life, at least from the Alibabas of the world. JD.com, PDD, take your pick. They're all kind of looking the same on a daily time frame. I mean, a great report from Alibaba, but the China question mark, I guess, still lingering in the background here. What do you think of Alibaba?
So taking a look at the Alibaba chart, I mean, here's the thing is I've had a great time on the short side of the market this year. I've really been enjoying that. At this point, it's just gotten really hard for me to short anything because the short interest is so high and because the shorts have been so obvious, right? So when you look at the Alibaba chart, on one hand, I mean, it's a fantastic downtrend. It looks like a perfect chart to short. You have all the China issues. It's traded directly up into resistance. The only issue that I would say is that it has that high short interest. So if there is going to be some other kind of random news and you want to short it here, you could be on the wrong end of the short squeeze. For me personally, I still want to stick with the trend. So I would rather short Alibaba than go long. But, you know, you do have to be careful for the short squeeze, and that's why you need to control your risk.
Going into next week, going to be an important week. Obviously, we still have some indications of the economy that's, up in the air, I guess is the best way to put it. We get CPI on Wednesday morning, pre-market. If that does come out, say a 10 handle on it, 9.1 last time at a 40-year high, I mean, is that going to be the catalyst maybe that we get, to start the move back to the downside as it was the last time we got this CPI number?
I think that could absolutely be the catalyst because I think a lot of the rhetoric over the past week and a half has really been, you have commodities coming down and maybe the Fed hit peak tightening and, they're reversing course and we're not going to have the Fed for 2 months. And, that's all really dependent on the data, and the Fed stated that they are going to be data dependent. So if another CPI number comes out and it's even hotter, then that could absolutely send the market trading lower yet again. And, August in any case is usually a little bit low volume, usually a little bit slow. Generally, after we get through peak earnings, we do see the market pull back a bit just because people are on vacation and there's just not a lot of volatility typically. So I do think the catalyst could easily be the CPI numbers, but on the flip side of that coin is if those numbers come out and they show that inflation did in fact peak, then that's where we're going to just see a massive rally. So I think it's going to be really important and something to focus on next week.
Where do you go? I'll put you on the spot here, Danielle. Where do you go if that is the case? If it does come out, maybe not hugely to the downside, but enough anyways to get some buying back into the market again and keep this rally going above 4,200, where do you go first?
So personally, I love to focus on the semiconductors. When you look at SMH, especially the way that AMD is trading post earnings, you have NVIDIA coming up. So I think that's a great area to focus. I really want to be focusing on stocks that actually have solid fundamental footing. I don't want to be focused on any of these, SoFis or any of the ARC stocks. Sure, those might rally a bit, but I'm looking for companies that are actually stable. I like Lowe's. I like Home Depot. I think that the overall consumer discretionary and the housing market stocks would probably rally on that news. But I really like to focus on the semiconductors in addition to Tesla, which you know I love, and Microsoft, because I mean, I think we're going to get a trade into the split on Tesla.
More to come on that. Actually, this afternoon, we get that shareholder meeting for Tesla. So more to come on that for sure. More to come, more excitement to come anyways next week with this economic data. So going to be an interesting few weeks here, I feel, Danielle, when it's typically, as you said, a quiet time of the year. Danielle Shays, VP of Options at Simpler Trading. We appreciate your time as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just quickly, guys, this SIGA popped up once again. FDA coming out saying they're planning a clinical trial now of SIGA's antiviral TPOXX, which is a pox type of vaccine. But the FDA actually going to do a test, it looks like. So SIGA the one, apparently.
You read my mind because it was a bank error in my favor when it comes to SIGA there. We're talking about the declared state of emergency for monkeypox, and GovX was going to the upside. I punched long in SIGA and it barely moved. And then the news dropped, like you said, FDA planning a clinical study. I threw it up, I saw it. I was already in the trade here. So when the news came out of the emergency declared, we actually held the channel. So I'm inside the consolidation, take a little bit of the scalp trade out, and then I'm just buying off support when all of a sudden the news drops. And that's the thing. Like, sometimes you are just going to be in the right direction. Had there been negative news, yeah, I'm going to have my stop set down through 19 even and take it out. But we're going to go bank error in our favor. We're in something that was in play in general, so we're going to be able to take advantage. But that's why you want to keep your ear to the ground. They get the approval. You already had all the monkeypox names in play, and they should be wild for the rest of the session here. As a matter of fact, SIGA trying to make another leg to that upside as we speak.
Like, just look how random all of this is, man. I mean, you know, GovX to the upside, we take it out, big wins there. You can follow me on Twitter to find out those as well. And then Google kind of like, okay, we reloaded that short at 805. It goes down to 91 right there at the 50 period. We take more shares out at that point, and then wait to see if it cracks a little bit higher. But I mean, what this is this going to really happen again? Like, really, where this market just does this all afternoon for us and then doesn't really find a direction? Like, I feel that this is, I don't want to be caught in the trap, sort of like we did yesterday. I mean, it's 3 o'clock now, so we only have an hour left, and we are now in power hour. So there we go, drop the grenades now. Hopefully the market can not drop a grenade, but you know, we're up 0.31. One of the most handsome gentlemen is about to come to the table here as we get Justin locked and loaded there with his new flow right now. Not, you know what, Kevin O'Leary was cash flow, but I'm gonna go hair flow right now for Justin. So get ready to get some tech talk coming through very soon. But you know, on that note, I'm trading Google, right? So Google now trying to hold out for this move. It's been a great move. I mean, Google as one of my largest positions in my long-term account. Let me just go over here. And a shout out to Michael Noss from Trade Ideas, because he's like, your charts don't show that, but our charts do. So I may switch over to some Trade Ideas charting. For right now, I use a paid e-signal. Maybe Trade Ideas I should switch over to. So shout out to you, and thank you, Michael Noss, if you're around. But there it is right now, 105 bottom for Google. What a move up. I mean, Google right now in a matter of not really after earnings. The move started earlier than that, but you know, one of the biggest companies in the world going from 105 up to 120 in about a week and a half. So it's a nice move up there for Google. Just wondering about this 120 area. We're only shorting it now because of the resistance here on the daily. I mean, on the 1 minute chart up to 18 and change. Let's see if it can fall back below 19 right now. Sorry, below 90. 117.90 is where it's got to hold below, because that's the 50 period. And for now, we're just chilling above. So if we can get back in, I'd love to see this again at the 80s. That's where my next take is, downside in the 80s, and then hopefully a little bit of a move to the south side right now as we go. But AMC, man, still trying to go right now.
Yeah, AMC, I was about to say, like you said, the 80s. It's not the 80s, but back to life. Back to AMC. So it bounces off VWAP
back
again.
To reality.
It's back to reality. That's Oh goodness, I actually forget the name of the artist now. That's gonna kill me because it's
The dance song.
I know that song. Anyways, we're back in the teens. Every time we get teens, 20s, 30s in front of that 40 level, we're gonna reload on AMC, take advantage of it here. But it is gonna be a nice little bounce there. And it was Steve G in the chat was asking, do you see anything on ATER why it's moving today? I just know they report on the 8th. Like we checked earlier and couldn't find any news on that one.
Let's just come over here quickly if we can, because we do have APDN now on the halt, back down to 620 right there. So probably news pending. It looks like it's going to be a volatility halt as it does move. That's 70 cents in 1 minute on a big red candle. So APDN right now halted at 626. It's tapping 630, so it looks like it'll open up, as scheduled at that price. But for right now, a little bit of an update there on APDN as that's coming down. PCR tests all over the place here. APDN halted right now. Still up 52% though.
Yes. Where's the axe though? We need a. I don't know.
The funny thing was the other day I was looking up custom axes.
Yeah.
If I can get one and I don't get arrested on the way to work, I will bring one in.
You need one of those Halloween plastic. Anyways.
Oh, like the double axe. Yeah, absolutely.
Justin Kozach is here, Day Trade the World marketing guy, to have a talk on a few things that are moving around this afternoon. One of those, we just saw a headline on, in fact, Meta planning to sell $10 billion in its debut corporate bond deal. If you remember yesterday, Fitch came out and already rated that bond AA or their highest, whatever it is,
Right.
basically saying that's good debt.
Yeah, was it double A or?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Tell us about some NFT news, though.
Yes, so NFTs on IG, OMG. Meta now expanding their NFTs to 100 countries, including Africa, Asia Pacific, Middle East, and of course, the Americas. Now you can share your NFTs on Instagram and get paid. Coinbase and Dapper Wallet support has been announced as well. So lots happening there. I don't know what the metaverse thing is about. Somebody asked me at hockey the other day, "What's the metaverse?" I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea.
Is it even a thing at this point? Can we say that?
I feel like Facebook is just kind of holding on to something from the past.
Yeah.
Like just
They're having problems
little
moving
clingy
on
with an
from-
ex-girlfriend or something. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know what's going on there. It's a little weird. So.
A few headlines on Instagram. Speaking of meta platforms, a few headlines on Instagram today as well.
Indeed. So Instagram head Adam Mosseri, who testified at Senate committee, I guess it was earlier this year. I don't remember. It was sometime in the last couple months. He's heading to the UK, to their largest engineering hub outside of the US with 4,000 employees to fight the rise of TikTok and their growing popularity. Of course, Meta putting all their dollars in a bucket when it comes to the metaverse, but having mega troubles. Shares are slumping. And they are losing revenue. Their VR division lost $2.3 billion in revenue in the 3 months leading up to June. And it seems like this move to the UK, this temporary move that Mosseri is having to move to the UK or take care of, is seen as a way to charm the US government when it comes to the Ofcom bill, which is currently in disarray because of Boris Johnson's resignation. So lots happening on that front. Certainly TikTok taking a big chunk out of Facebook's sales, whatever's left of them. So we'll see how that goes.
I got to get your take on this because I think it was last week, early on last week, there was that story on the Kardashians that came out.
Oh, God.
And basically the Kardashians said Instagram should not try to move closer to the format of TikTok.
Right, yeah.
And them saying that alone was enough to then make Instagram come out and say, we're not going to go ahead with that update.
Yeah, it's quite amazing to see just how much star power, how much pull celebrities have. I know what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Instagram wanted to make the move from friend content or surfacing more of your friends' content to an algorithm surfacing type of
And more video-based.
more
guess,
video-based,
short form
certainly.
video.
They're really trying to push Reels. Meta looks at Reels as this is going to be the feature within the platform that is going to beat TikTok. It's going to be interesting to see whether that plays out. As they say in the movies, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it plays out for them. I think they've got an uphill battle in 3 feet of snow with no shoes on. So I don't know. I think TikTok might be the clear winner here.
Yeah, it was funny when we saw that headline last week, but it just shows you, as you said, the mass appeal and the mass draw, which I get. It's valid
For sure.
and maybe a good decision. We shall see. Some legal issues for Toyota.
Right, so Toyota's back. Toyota has backed this company called Pony.ai. It's autonomous vehicles. They are alleging that 2 of their former employees have committed trade infringement, and they are suing them for 60 million yuan or 8.9 million US. This case has actually been accepted by the Beijing Intellectual Property Court. So both sides saying, well, we'll see what happens. We'll release all the facts when it comes down to stepping into the ring. So the usual pre-trial comment but no comment. So
Typical.
it's a story that there's a story but there's no story yet. So we'll see.
Sign up for the opening bell, guys. New edition Monday.
New edition Monday with lots of great content from Trader TV, your favorite YouTube channel, and Day Trade the World.
DTTW.com. Go check them out. And the opening bell newsletter. Justin Kozach, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Start your day trading journey with Day Trade the World. Not only
Yes,
that,
sir.
sign up for the newsletter, get everything combined into one, trade on the same platform that we are, daytradetheworld.com. Thanks, Justin, for coming through.
It's a great one to be sure. And you know what? You might be able to even trade things like this. And look, CGTX, I saw in the chat, we actually even got a lot of people talking about this name. We got a super chat about it, so I want to thank you guys for that. But up 150%. Now, the catalyst, I mean, look, they announced they're going to report their earnings on the 9th. That's the first thing we're able to see. But what I always want to be able to do is just check out that short float, man. You want to go to floatchecker.com. I was able to find it. It was a tiny, tiny floater. And this has been the name of the game here. Find a short float name with any kind of catalyst. If it breaks out, just look to see if you can do a secondary move. Already higher time frame, you're going to look at this $4.50 to $5 area, was previous resistance. I'm anticipating we could have a nice little pullback into that range. This is exactly where it had a dip on the way up. Significant level on the daily chart as well, so this is going to be off to the races. They're jumping from one to the other when it comes to the volume, from one low float stock to the next, and you've got to be able to keep track. That's why you want to have all the tools available to you. Get your trackers out there. Make sure you have the higher time frame, and always check Float Checker, because if it's got a huge float these days, it doesn't follow through, it seems.
Yeah, no. Okay, so AMC still $1. Okay, oh, by the way, we just now, I mean, we were getting out. We actually did really well on these shorts here on Google. I mean, we only have one out of all of these reloads. Our last one just came out right now as the NASDAQ is doing the dance again. Like, it's, I'm not going to sit here and punch back and forth on all these names just for fun. So here it is, starting to go back up to the upside. We got to find something to get long right now as the NASDAQ. It looks like it just wants to keep on creeping back to the north side right now. So we'll find out a little bit about these futures. Up, yeah, still starting to go upside, 13,330 right now. Here's AMD. If you zoom in a little bit, you are trying to take out this level. This has been one of the strongest names for sure. Not recently, it's been kind of barcoding right now, but you can see it is starting to tick up one more time here. So taking out this level of a 104.20 or so seems like that should be a decent runner here into the close. I mean, if you get this up, I mean, why can't we break the high? I mean, if the NASDAQ wants to break the high, and are we breaking the high on the NASDAQ? Yeah, I mean, we're pretty close. This is right from the morning, right when AMD was not doing this, right? So AMD's already made that run and can go even higher than that. So let's wait to see here as the market's trying to break out above. It's, you know, it just needs a couple more ticks and we're above that high on the day. So AMD's an interesting one here at 104.20.
Yeah, 420, man. I was about to say it is waking up in a big way, that AMD. Oh, that fly is back. Whatever. I'm going to kill that fly eventually. I forgot to go over this one. I'm in Neo, by the way, and you made a point there, Sean. Go back to these. Sometimes the higher time frame is the best way to evaluate a trade. So have a look at the 15-minute and how differently this trade looks on a 15-minute chart as opposed to like the 3-minute, which I often show you guys for executions. Sometimes it's just easier to do that when you're getting a consolidation. But we looked at this as a breakout trade, and when the market came back in, something that managed to hold hold up past the breakout. You had this nice little channel, 2075 with previous resistance into 21 even. Those are the only two prices I bought today. In front of that 75, so we got some mid-80s, and we bought some 21s. And it's now, it got back up to 21.20, that's about 1-to-1, and now it's holding that 21 area. If the market can get going, is another one that has a chance to start running, but it's been basically sitting in front of my support. No need to force anything at this point in Power Hour. I can just sit in the trade. I have targets higher. I'm definitely going to want to get out if it does take out those lows, but until it happens, I think we're safe and good to go. NVIDIA worth watching, but hey, AMC reports aftermarket. I mean, if we're going to talk AMD at some point, you know, NVIDIA is going to matter too, but we're in AMC at this moment. Flip, there you go. I just took another leg out. Remember that 1940 level, right? Like every single time we've gotten there, except for 930, except for the open. In the pre-market, it couldn't get past that double top. After 1 o'clock, it couldn't get past it, made another high and rejected it. So taking profit in front of 1940 on the dip to VWAP. If it breaks that price, I think we're jailbreaking into 20 even. But those are two separate trades in my books, and we're going to be locked and loaded, ready to go. Hopefully AMC gives it to us. It was the Monkeypox names that were, initially making those big moves. Sega has calmed down, but worth noting, even after that volume spike on their own individual news, it's still holding off of these highs. So it took out that 1975 top, still holding the top end of the range and trending up. So still some movement to be found. And APDN as well, still not dead. It's still alive here. Actually, I was about to say it was barcoding. And then the second I flip to it, it starts breaking down. So Sega's still alive at least. And guess who is back? We have Steph. What do you have for us on the futures?
Hey everyone, back at the desk once again, of course, you guessed it, to go over ES futures. All right, so going into the open, the big question that I had here is my 4150 level, the key level for the past couple of days that I've been mentioning. And the big question was, were we going to hold it and respect the level? So basically what happened with market open, I am looking at a 5-minute chart here. So prior, as you can see, we were making lower highs consistently. We opened, popped up, came right back down, but we were unable to stabilize, as you guys can see, at the 4150 level. However, now look where we are at. I was going to say, and what I was planning to say was we've been hovering around 4150, waiting during Power Hour to make a move, and finally we are making that move. So the question is for price action for the rest of the day, are we going to be competing with the pre-market highs at 4170? Back to you guys.
Thank you very much. And I actually want to make a point. I should have said this the first time we started talking about the futures there. Look, if you don't trade the futures, but you like the concept, you like the levels, which you should, you can always jump into like the SPY. So S&P 500 futures, there is the ETF SPY. For those of you that don't know, most of you might know this, but for those that don't, and if you're looking at the NASDAQ futures, there's always the QQQ. You'll be able to find, like, it's not exactly the same thing, obviously, but the key levels, the overall movement is going to follow almost lockstep there. So I always have the SPY on my quote board. I want to make sure that everyone knows about that. We teased it. Brendan talked about this, I think, very briefly with Danielle Shea, Tesla. I believe the event starts at 3:30, although we don't know exactly when any vote on the split would potentially happen. That's the future 3-for-1 split, which I can't see a reason why it would get voted down, but you can't make these assumptions, and maybe it does, who knows. But Tesla getting off the schneid, as the market's about to take out the top, Tesla finding its way back to this resistance at 928 in VWAP and having a shot here to get back into the upside. So a lot of names pretty strong. Tesla had not been one, now suddenly getting off the bat. Amazon, which has been strong pretty much all day, heading back towards its highs as well. And the one short that I got, it's like, I gotta have something to the short side. You don't have to have something to the short side. It's just, it feels like when we have this type of market, we get to the tops and have so much trouble breaking out, and we're a bit range bound in the afternoon. I do want something that I can short off resistance in addition to any longs that we'll have, just so you can try to play the range in both directions. And then if it breaks out, you have something you can hold on to. So I am in Alibaba. It's not really doing a heck of a lot there. And one more, because I don't want us to go the entire afternoon show without mentioning Coinbase. Absolutely nothing. Coinbase is a bit of a distraction here. It has held that 87 where it broke out from. If you looked at it at 9 o'clock, like that secondary push was through 87. That is a decent support level. I was waiting around for it to come down to that price. Now that it's here, I just don't like it. Like I said this morning, if it gets to 87, I wanted to be a buyer of Coinbase. But I mean, you can see there's no volume. It's going sideways. I mean, it'd be more exciting if maybe it did like a flush and then maybe a failed breakdown at 87, trapping some shorts. But there's nothing along those lines even happening there. With the market trying to come back up through those highs, NIO trying to break VWAP. If it makes the higher low through VWAP, there could be a chance for me to add here, but I'm just hanging out on that offer, looking to see if we can take out some tops. So Tesla, like we said, that can drag some of the EV names with it. So I am cheering for you, Tesla, but I already got NIO.
All right. So we've reloaded again down here. I'm just going to look at AMD. We talked about trying to pick one that we liked for a long. So we did go over to AMD, and we did get that bottom pick one more time down there. It's going to look like I have multiple. I mean, I do have 3 fills here, but it's really just I missed the punch initially, breaking through that level of 17 or so. So I just tried to get a better average price. So my average price now is 18. So that's something that we're looking at. I'm going to get out if it breaks down below 104. So if it does that, then we're going to be out. We don't want to be, like I said, like yesterday was too much back and forth at this time of day. So I don't want to have that happen again for us right now. So let's just see where we go. 104.21, so our average price right now, 104.18. I do want to take something out if we can climb up a little bit, especially just a couple pennies. Like I really feel like we could be into scalp mode. Now we're not going to we're just going to get out of 10% here if I get these. I think it's 24, 25, I don't know. And then I want to get something into here, into the 30s, these high 30s. So hopefully this will rip up. There we go, first out, 20%, like I said, 10%. Maybe we can get this upside now into the 30s where we will start to take something up to the upside right now. So 104.40, 104.37 or so is where we're looking to get some out. But AMD is going to be the one that I'm going to try to ride with right now and just see where we go. So AMD, hopefully this is going to be the runner for me today. You can see the NASDAQ. We did get a super chat, and I want to thank you for that super chat, my friend. I think it was like 100 Mexican pesos, I believe it was. Irrelevant how much it was. I think I already talked about it even after your super chat, but right here is what I'm looking at. The NASDAQ, you were talking about trading the NASDAQ. You did take out that high, so that's why I punched long. So I feel like, whether or not we took out that very wick high or not, which we did, we still are hovering around here. I still think you got to break at least down into here before anything happens to this account, so to the market, sorry, on this. So breaking below the 50 period into 13,300. So I feel like the longs are still in charge here into that 13,300 level. So that's what I would look for if you're holding on to anything. But that's my little take on the NASDAQ futures. I wouldn't really worry too much about this 50 period. I think it's going to be like a longer term hold game now at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is one of those, we're getting some key levels in a lot of the big names as well. So we get to that resistance on the futures or the NASDAQ anyways. And even, the ES is having trouble breaking a lower high. So it's not just the NASDAQ. But I go back to what I was watching on Meta. Look at all the action in Meta today, and I've only been involved when it's broken this 171 on the 15-minute chart. Like this has been the level. I was short in front, I reversed into a long, scalped it, tried to take a bit of a breakout through the high for a bigger trade. So the scalp trade 71 to 72, but when I take the 72, I'm thinking 72 to 75 if we go, give it some room, give it a buck. That trade didn't work out, but we're creeping right back up to this 171. Someone in the chat made a joke. Neil likes taking the top off. That's not how they said it. They said something a little bit different than that. But breakouts can work if the market can take that high and if there's significant levels. We did fail a break in the morning, but this is a multi-day level here at 171 on Meta. So if it gets to that price and the market is above that high, I'm taking that long on Meta. I just wanted to point out, you know what? If we're there tomorrow, I like 171 tomorrow in Meta. And if we're there on, Monday be Monday. If we're there on Monday, I like 171 in Meta as well. It's just a key level. When a key level is there, you're going to want to make sure that you trade it, especially when it's been established. Now it'll be like a double top on my 15-minute chart. Bob is starting to roll over, so a good friend of mine once said that you don't actually get any fills if you don't put any bids out. So I'm going to get a bid out because I didn't have any as this is starting to go to the downside. Pay yourself in this market. You saw in the afternoon yesterday. Remember how frustrating it was? You had to try to play a little bit inside of these ranges, even if they seem tight. If it's a 50-cent range, then as a day trader, then maybe scalping the 50 cents is going to make some sense. Get back in if it goes to the top end of the range. Try to hold a piece of the position. This is the market we're in. You got to be able to deal with it. So as I try to take profit there, and as a matter of fact, I get that fill. We also got some fills up here, 19, 23, 29. Ooh, I like that. 23 for Michael Jordan, 29 for not Joe Carter, Jesse Barfield, my favorite Blue Jay of all time, but bouncing back down after that. So once again, AMC cannot get to 1940. I will be back on the bid. Going to rinse and repeat this one in front of 19 even. Don't want to flip away from the chart. I want to put an order in. So I'm going to get back on this bid in front of VWAP, in front of that 19 even, and see if we can repeat this party. They report aftermarket. Obviously, I'll be flat at that point. I won't have a position going into earnings. But we'll just be long as we can hold this support level here, and hopefully we can take out that top. But it's got to get through that 1940. A lot of sellers at that price all day long. I mean, like at 9:30, you can always break support because that's where you get a liquidity vacuum. But very clearly, that price has been a linchpin pretty much all day. And I've been in this SOFA as well. We should always go over everything that we're in. I've just been sitting in this since about 10 o'clock. I tried to get more in front of 220, it never went there. I scaled some out at 60, I got some out at 80. I then tried to hold for a $3 break because I thought this was going to be the next one to give you a 350 move. So I never even got everything I wanted to the downside, but at this point, why am I even on the bid? I don't want it. If I get filled on the bid down at 220, is there any chance I want that stock given the volume? You guys can't even see it. This is the volume. It's not even on the board since about 140. It is just absolutely dead. There's no reload. At this point, I'll just trail it. If it wants to make a run like some of these low floaters, great. We'll try to get out in front of 3 even. But my trail is going to be down here at 240. I don't want to be losing on the last of this trade. We'll give it 5-10 cents. Market's starting to roll over a little bit here, so got to manage your longs. I've already taken some out of AMC. NEO is testing support here. Don't want to turn this into a loser. Going to have to throw my stop here at 2090. Starting to give up the ghost a little bit.
What's up? Thanks, Maz Markets. Fantastic show, fantastic traders. We really appreciate that. We work hard to bring this show to you guys every single day. So, yeah, all right. Lucas, pumping up.
It's a bike. Why is it a bicycle pump?
Well, it's just an air pump, yeah. So,
so
all right. Okay, so unfortunately, I hate coming back with these, but again, we get some out and then get the rest out. As it breaks back down below, right there, it hits that 50-period moving average, and we get out of AMD. So unfortunately, let's just go to the downside on these ones now. Flush ourselves down. I want this market to try to figure itself out right now. We went back into the Google short. We'll hold that against its high one more time of 25. I mean, the high really is 30. So let's see here. I mean, look at the NASDAQ coming back in, right? So here comes the NASDAQ back in. We'll see about that 13,300. But as you can see, look at the NASDAQ come back in, and look at this name not coming back in right now. So I don't know, man. It's a little bit frustrating and a little bit, whatever right now in this market. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Honestly, and when you're like that, I feel like it's the best thing to do is just to either trade, like we said, names that are in play. You don't have to be in the market all the time. So, GovX is still that 21 cents. It's now bumping back up to the upside. It went right back into that reload area. We didn't get anything out. We talked about where we'd get out if it broke down through 25. So that was pretty close. So right now, we still have some shares on GovX. I was actually waiting for 75 up into here in the middle, but it's a nice bump back up for that name. So we can easily right now just go back over to GovX and see about getting this out, because it's 62 is a pretty good price. I mean, whatever. We'll sit here and see if it fills us at some point, but this should be a decent little take here. Just print it. There it goes. It runs us over. So we get a 62. So that's a good one. We'll go with a little bit of money coming down for GovX right now. But yeah, I don't know. We'll wait now for the high. Like, let's just hold out for it. We only have that 10% left actually now on GovX. So we'll hold it out. We did get a decent spot at this 370, 380 when it was dancing around there. So you're not going to see 9 outs, but we do only have 10% left. So we'll wait. Hopefully we take out $4 and then go a little bit higher. We talked about monkeypox names, and here's GovX right now, chilling out near this $384 mark, which we've seen back earlier on in the year before all this stuff happened. So, you know, possibly some definite support or resistance. I guess it will be, in this case, resistance up here near $4. So, you know, we'll watch out for that. We'll watch out for that. And then AMC, I'm still holding out for that big move. I'm watching it. You know, if AMC, that's a daily chart. We don't need to see that right now. We can see a 1-minute chart for that. You know, I'm still holding out hope for that high. We could have just got out at 1930 again. We are long right here at 1840. So it's like, you know, $1 in the money at some points here on this name. So, you know, definitely worth the shot. I feel like this 1940, we might even want to take this out again to go long. So I might do that, a long through 1940. Let's push that if AMC goes long 1940. So I'm waiting for that trade. So that's what I'm going to do, wait for 1940 to come through on AMC with only, Neil, 30 minutes left. I know, it seems like it gone fast because we had Justin, and then we had Danielle first, then we had Justin, Stephanie. So, yeah, lots of stuff happening right now in the market, and we'll just look to see if we can't get AMC, remember, on earnings. Tonight's a monster earnings,
Yeah,
right?
there's still plenty to go.
It's Square, it's Beyond Meat, it's Fubo TV, it's Lyft, it's Twilio. I love Twilio there. DoorDash, Expedia, Amgen coming through. A name that we've never talked about, or we haven't talked about in forever. It's a name you always used to talk about.
That I always used to
yes,
talk about.
Yes, and you're a big fan of the idea.
I'm a big fan of the idea. Oh, Virgin Galactic.
Yeah, exactly. So SPC.
Oh, that was easy. That's easy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had to, you know,
Oh, so no, but,
sort of feeding it.
You know what
I had
happens?
more tricks coming.
When someone does that, like usually, I'm thinking something that's like, okay, well, what's he going to challenge me with? I'm like, no, it's the most obvious.
Yeah,
I am a fan of the idea. I read only science fiction, man. It's like if I read a fiction novel, it's science fiction. It's been like that since I was a kid. I mean, right now, heck, their model is science fiction until they can get up and down multiple times in a week, right? That's what makes it viable. But I don't want to rant about it. I'm pretty sure after their earnings, I'll be able to give you a pretty solid rant on the company, kind of like we did with Intel. But I just got out of NEO, by the way. It broke that little support that we had left from the afternoon. I don't want this turning into a losing trade. It could not go, especially when Tesla made that last break up and showed some signs of strength, broke VWAP, NEO kind of didn't do as much, and then now Tesla's starting to reverse, finding that same resistance. And by the way, always a higher time frame. On the 3-minute, I was just showing you the day at 928. Well, look what that's been, that 928. Outside of the pre-market today, what has Tesla done at that 28 to 30? Rejection, rejection, rejection. So that happens, I tighten my stop on NEO and just get the heck out of Dodge there. I like 1940 as well. I'm going to try and reload on AMC at 19. It went to 08s just now. I did miss it. It looks like a pretty decent one, and it has a chance to be a bit of a runner, but you can't just wait for chances. SIGA, I know GovX is trying to hold up. SIGA's going sideways, but it's still holding the highs. There's a decent chance it could make a secondary move. I've been trying to wait for it to dip and give us another shot in these 19 quarters, 1930s for that consolidation. That's why I feel there's buyers. When the news hit, your floor was right here at 1910. So I kind of feel like if you can get 20s to quarters, your stop's at 19. I know that risk, and that's where the buyers came in this afternoon. There's always a break out of those highs, but that can always be a bit of a difficult game that late in the day. I see people asking if oil's going up or down. It's been a pretty weak session for them. And yes, by the way, Vinco Ventures is halted, has been for a while. It is an information request from the NASDAQ. Beyond that, I've heard nothing and I don't know anything else other than the information request. I don't want to say that's good or bad, but oftentimes it is bad. But I have no idea. I shouldn't even be speculating on it. Oil futures, they've already closed. That's why you can see volume stopped, but down 2%, pretty much where they closed on the session and now going sideways. But it has been a red day for the oil markets. I got one short. I wish I had more than one. And as BABA falls down, I'm looking at 96.50. That was the best out I could get since about 11 o'clock. We went off air for the morning show. It then found support and started rising. That was the last of the lower highs when I was involved in the short. So if we get to that price, I want out, but I'll continue to trail this as we are now under 20 minutes from the imbalance as well.
Yeah, I'm just watching. I mean, this Google's going to take out the high, man. I mean, we're short. Oops, so wrong stock. We are short again on this. I mean, it's just not the high, but it's going to take out this little level here of 30. It looks like we tried to go short one more time into this name. I mean, you look at the market versus Google. You know, it's just, this is what happens. And someone made a good point here. I don't know who it was, but I think this is, I was just reading it. Oh, it's right here. Derek. What's up, Derek Spainhauer? Yeah, I wish I could join you on the nap right now. I'm looking forward to my post-market nap. Not sure if I'll be taking any more trades as my green on the day. And your track, I mean, this to me is a more important thing here. Forget about the nap. It's your track record shows that any trades during the last 30 minutes net pass. So, I mean, that's the part of it for me that really, you know, is what matters. And that is that if you notice that you're absolutely lethal at trading the open, or you do really well during slower markets, maybe during the midday, or whatever it is, you know, on days where the NASDAQ is kind of choppy, maybe like today, like that's what it's all about for me, is understanding your strengths and your weaknesses and then trying to take advantage of them. If you're not going to put on, you know, successful trades at this time of day, maybe you are too tired. Maybe you just don't, you know, the end of the day market is not really for you, and it's not really overly for me either. I prefer the morning. That's why I do the sticky note as well. Yeah, so I think that was very key. So a good look there. I just wanted to bring that up. Thanks, Derek, for that note. I think that's important that many of us, you know, take advice, not from the note, but take advice from understanding where and when you maximize your opportunities, right? And
It's huge, dude.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what it is.
You know this guy. We never say names because we've been both trading for a long time, but also risk managing and managing traders for, you know, years. It's, well, okay, a couple of decades. But there's one trader who's very successful. I think his career is probably sitting at 15 years or something like that. I could be wrong about it. But it was like clockwork. The morning rush would end, and it would just be a loss from the top. It's just anywhere around like 10:20 to 10:30.
Yeah.
And this particular trader, that was usually the high point until we got to like 2:30 or 3 o'clock. So for them, it was like get up, take a walk, I don't know, run some errands or do a crossword, like whatever you got to do, man. You got to go ahead and do it. And see, Al saying the Tesla shareholder meeting is 5:30. If I'm wrong on that, my bad. I'll check that. I just said 3:30 because I thought that's what Brendan said yesterday.
It wouldn't be during the market, would it? I mean, it could be.
Yeah, it doesn't. It actually doesn't
know.
make sense when you think about it. But no, you're right. It probably is aftermarket. Either way, I don't know. We're going to find out tomorrow for tomorrow's trade about that split, which I think is going to get voted up, but I really don't know. I was asked about my thoughts on Affirm. My thoughts on Affirm was short in front of 33, long after 33, and it's not at 33, so I want to go short. But it hasn't gotten to that price. You can see that's what I did here today. Like I just shorted in front of 33. I reversed into a long. That got to 33.40. I then did this, which is stupid, which is try to catch a dip buy. I'm like, why am I dip buying below that price? No, I want to short that price. So I got out of it very quickly. But Affirm, so I understand that any stock that's gone up now 250% from the bottom is going to catch people's attention. It's more like 230%, whatever. It's more than doubled up is what's important. It's going to catch everybody's attention like, oh my goodness, is this fantastic? Putting a value on them right now is darn near impossible, right? Because there's increased competition. They're not in a position where the market is mature enough that you can have a solid idea of what their future earnings can be. It's a big piece of the pie, but there's a lot of big competitors in there. And that's not going away. So it's not as simple as very bullish chart, very bullish last couple of weeks, bouncing off the 50 period, go in for the long term. For the trade, right now, Affirm has been more of a long than a short. It's just you got to be able to, I got to be able to accept that as well. That's why I have not been trading it every single day, because I haven't been willing to go long on the stock, which is stupid. Sometimes you got to put your biases aside. Ever since it bounced off the 50 period, look at that. It's been all green days. It's now trying to take out this 31. In fact, it's going to close above this resistance in front of 31. So this is one that we have to at least start considering for the momentum. And even if it dips back down to 23, but for the long term, I don't think you'll have a firm grasp on what the value of this thing is for a few quarters. I said that about Lemonade. It's like, okay, great pandemic play that went up when everything was going up. On the way down, they kept reporting earnings, and every single time they had a report, I was like, damn sure don't want to buy it now. And it would go lower. Another earnings report, I'm like, I definitely don't want to buy it here. And it's just like there was nothing good in their earnings report yet that would tell me that the company had turned the corner, and I kind of feel like that's where Affirm is. It's appealing because people believe in the concept of, hey man, issuing debt, and that market is potentially huge. But I'm not. There's no there yet for me, outside of the fact that 31 is now a breakout on the daily, so you might want to consider that as decent support. Had I done that yesterday, the same daily chart, that same 31, look at the afternoon yesterday. There's your 31 double bottom. There's $1 twice. And we kept talking about finding a range trade. Well, there's a level for you, and it's not that hard to find. Zoom out, previous resistance into support, and you would have had a couple of bucks yesterday's trade. But I always want to short Affirm, so I didn't get it.
Yeah, just talking about impressions here with Liz. Okay, all right, let's move off of that right now. All right, so Google's going to take out the top, which is why we took out some of these levels right here again for us. So we took out some levels right here at 118, 118.05. Looks like it's going to take some back out. So we're out of half of this. There it goes. It's going to go up a little bit more. We're out on this reload. Like the market's not going up and Google is. So like once again, there's, I don't know, news about Google. Like, you know, there it is. I try to go short, market's not doing anything, and Google rips it back up to the upside. So we're out of that now, and we'll see what happens moving forward. But looks like Google wants to just continue its move to the upside there. No reason why, but it is. Apple, I feel like, is going to be a good short, but do we really want to short this market? I mean, we're now below on oil, but oil's closed. You do have the NASDAQ right here trying to make a move back. Maybe it is going to be Apple, but like as if I short Google and then all of a sudden it just goes like parabolic to the upside there for no reason, it seems like. But there it is. Maybe it's going to be Apple short. I don't know. I don't want to spend too much money thinking about this, but I have been wanting to go short on Apple today, as you can see, and it's been really positive. Apple's my... yeah, it's my number one name today is going to be Apple. So, you know, off of all of these shorts. So 106.05, 106.07 coming through right now for Apple. So I do like that position. Just got to wait for it to go a little bit higher before we actually short it. So, yeah, not a great play there on Google as it ripped all the way up. But here comes the market all the way back down.
So, I mean, getting a lot of AMC questions. I get it. They have, like, they got the earnings tonight. Someone asking again, it's like, do I sell it today or wait for tomorrow? If you're, the way I look at it is if you're considering taking profit, and I'm assuming you're taking profit because it's been up, like it's hard to be taking a hit at $19 unless you're holding it from like back in March, right? So if you're even thinking about trimming and taking some profit before earnings, it means you don't want the downside risk. So pay yourself out a little bit and then try to hold some through. I never like buying in front of earnings. I tend to think usually you want to make decisions after you read a report, but AMC's not always about that. It can be about the momentum. So I get it. If you need to scratch the itch so that you can hold the rest of the position, then maybe do so in front if you're feeling a little bit skittish about it. Nothing wrong with taking something off the table. But if you've held it for this bounce, I'm assuming you want a little bit more. So try to keep a piece of that pie. Just understand your own risk to reward. Brendo?
Just looking at a list, guys, of smallpox vaccine makers. Remember, though, last week the WHO came out and said that smallpox vaccines not considered passed or safety release anyways for monkeypox. Anyways, TNXP is another one that has a smallpox vaccine, but did not really give you that much of a move as far as the other ones are concerned. GOVX, SIGA, and then APDN, obviously, with the test. But TNXP is another one with a smallpox vaccine.
And this is, so one of the things you can do here, and I try to, you know, I have my own corp boards. You see me flash back and forth. I'll have like a large list of every single stock I'm watching. But what I should do is I have hot lists for like energy, financials, ETFs, futures, just like little ones, like a healthcare sector. I should probably just, in the short term, add a monkeypox one so that I know I can just quickly pop my corp board over, and then I know the names that are listed. I can add like a TNXP in there because smallpox, monkeypox are the same. And maybe I would have punched long GovX and SIGA, or maybe just GovX first like Sean did. I just thought of SIGA first because I don't have a list in front of me, and that's the first thing that came to mind. Yeah. I believe Steph is back, and to talk a little bit more about her future.
Hey everyone, so I know you guys are all curious about who I am, my trading journey, all of that fun stuff. I wanted to come back and pop in really quickly to let you know tomorrow at 2:45 is going to be all about my trading journey and my interview. So tune in tomorrow, 2:45. Bye guys.
Yo, what's up? Okay, so
Journey time. Oh, but and the thing is too, like we all have. Well, we did videos a couple of years ago.
Yep.
All of us
Yep.
about like
Yep.
how we started out, first big trade, first losing trade, like how did you get into trading? Which is that's what people always want to know your backstory and where it comes from. So it'll be good to hear Steph's as well. I did want to say one more, if I can, just very quickly here, because I talked Coinbase, but I didn't get a chance to go over if this will load up. Robinhood. So Robinhood ended up giving everything back and then some, but it's hard not to notice this nice little bounce off of 10 quarter where we had a nice little flush into, but good support. And if you look at this, another beaten up name, bouncing off its 50, breaking out from about 975, 10-ish, taking out some new levels. It got that Coinbase bump. A lot of stocks did. There's not much you can do about it. But it is holding some higher lows. So it's above yesterday's high, and a chance tomorrow you hold that high, you could have a secondary move. I got to go back to it because it's starting to threaten that support. Here comes another fill. Eventually, what happens when you take these trades, it's like how many times are we going to get long in front of this before eventually AMC goes down, right? And what happens is if you don't get out, if I hold this when it breaks 1890, if it breaks 1890, I should be saying, all the way down to like 1830 where we got it in the morning, then I'm just going to turn this into like a negative on AMC. Or I can just get out if it breaks that level, try and revisit the trade if it gives me a chance, but we only have 15 minutes to go. It just might not be there. So my stop is in, even though it is in. I always like double check. It's like, yeah, it's there. I'm just going to make sure that fly, there you are. I'm going to get it at some point. But yeah, my stop's down below that 1890 area. If we get out, we get out. It's been a solid trade in the afternoon. It was better this morning, but it couldn't get past that 1940. So, I'm going to have that level written down. If we gap above that on earnings, I'm going to like it for support at 1940. If there's a mixed report or anything like that, maybe we get a chance to break out that price tomorrow morning. But my stop's here a few pennies below.
You're not, getting the luck on your side. You're like, Google, we just get out. We even give it more than that. It's not like we got out at 30. We got out at 40, basically. And then it only goes to about 43, 44 before tanking right back and putting this last trade that we just had in the money for us. So frustrating there. We didn't lose a lot, but we lose a little bit on that move there. Give some back that we made during all of this on that last try for Google on the short side. Remember I said like getting whipped around, like it's not cool. But we're going to go into one more name where it's not going to be cool as well. Oh, look at these wicks on the chart. All right, so Microsoft breaking through some of these levels now on the minute chart. Crappy, I can't really show them to you here. That sucks. But anyways, it was this high right here. We made it a couple times. So let's see if it can withhold this move now for Microsoft. So hopefully back down to the downside as the market's coming down. Brendan just said this was about 15 minutes ago, so now it's a little stale. If we get an update, we'll have it, but I don't think it updates too frequently. It's only 40 million to sell to the downside. So, I mean, we're looking at billions normally when we talk about these things. So 40, multiple billions. So we'll wait for that one. I don't think it's going to be anything anyways, but, back upside if Microsoft takes out like 283. I mean, I was looking basically at the 50 period here, 283.05, 283.06, then we'll get out. But for right now, let's see if this wants to come back in for the rest of the day. Let's hope, for my sake, let's hope it does. If you guys are long Microsoft, I apologize. But I thought for this break, the fact that we're now below the 50 period, not only that, I also did talk about the NASDAQ trying to get to 13,300 there. So we just got there. Like, it's just so crazy that I talked about the short, blah, blah, blah. I had the short there in Google. I got ticked out by 2 pennies, and now it's, it's only, it's not that much in the money. It's like 20 pennies in the money now, but we'll see if the NASDAQ can withhold this. But because I'm now short Microsoft, wouldn't surprise me if we just rip right back up to this level again and take me out, So let's see if that happens. Let's hope not. But if it does, again, again, we have shares on that we can make enough money, but we are losing money every time this happens. So hopefully it can come back down now and hit us a little lower here on Softy. But the market's going to have to participate. Remember, we only are 14 minutes left in the day. So, there it goes. See, what a surprise. So there goes Microsoft right back up to the upside. Again, not the end of the world here for the account, but we always would like to win. So let's see if Microsoft takes this out, and if it does, then we're out of this one. We're trying it one more time, breaking some of this shelf here. Looks like we made all this move, and then boom, hopefully I was thinking that we would break that. The NASDAQ would follow suit, which it's trying to do a little bit here, but yeah. 283.05 or so here for Softy. Let's see if that one's going to be the magic or not, but wouldn't surprise me if we got stopped out. You know, let's just hold out hope. Got to try to stay positive here. A couple different stocks on watch now with volume. NOW apparently.
Yeah, NO now on the move there. I moved my out on Alibaba because we're 3 minutes away from imbalances coming out. Now I'm only going to give it to 27.25. I was giving it to like 28 even, or just above 28 even, but now it's in the money. We have the imbalances coming out. I don't want this to get, you don't want to give up the ghost, and you don't want to give up the winner. We're now too late, I think, for myself on SIGA at least. SIGA did come in, and I just want to tell you guys, like if this was 337, I probably have this long. If we had a little bit more time, I'd probably take this on SIGA, that same entry price we had with volume dwindling, and now that we're getting this late in the session, not likely to put it on. If you're holding something maybe past 4 o'clock, so that if it goes sideways but holds your support level, and then you're looking for an aftermarket rally, then that's still decent and valid. And if you have executions past 4 o'clock, if you're allowed to hold, if your stops still work after 4 o'clock, that's pretty important to find out from your broker on that. Not all of them work. Some operate differently. Sometimes you have limited gateways, like there might be like a 200 gate or like 50 gateways you can use, or 10 or 20, and then the aftermarket there's like 3 or 4. Understand your rules. Like that trade would be valid. We've held that support, but you need time for it to work out. And I've seen it time and time again where, the real move happens aftermarket, and there's not much you can do about it there. AMC, which did come out on that stop. I also got stopped out on SOPA finally. Didn't really flush through, so holding support into those earnings that we were talking about that are going to be upcoming. And I talked about why I need to get out of NEO. There's no need to just hang on to it as it flushes even lower here. So it couldn't sustain that break. It couldn't get through that 25 high eventually. Now headed back toward those lows. Been a bit of a weak day here in the afternoon. That being said, it is still, the market's more or less flat, and there were some opportunities, mostly on those monkeypox names. BABA will look like it's okay for the short side of the trade. Amazon holding up really well, though. This 142 on Amazon. Yeah, there's a lot of strength on Amazon at 142. Right at the open, that was the opening wick, was exactly to 142, and then it broke out that price, and it has not looked back. It has not reclaimed it. That's another one of these sort of key levels that the market's telling you right here in the afternoon, 142 Amazon. So I got to write that one down. Brendo?
Volume coming back into this FTNT, guys. Speaking of bad days, 16% here for Fortinet, back to the downside. Trying maybe to get back to day lows, remember, off of earnings that were, to say the least, not good for FTNT.
Okay, AMC is, we talked about that earlier on. Oh, and by the way, as expected there, Microsoft does go right back up to the upside. So there it goes. We don't have any more stop orders out, nothing like that. All right, just quickly here. Oh, the imbalances are coming out in a second. AMC is falling down, so let's go over to the imbalances as people wondering about those with ARCA. We don't want to see those. We're going to see what happens right now with these imbalances coming out in approximately 2 seconds. And there we go right now. Ford with a sell, HLN, PCB, whatever, all these names to sell. I don't really see too much. It looks like kind of a buy side. You can see the market is starting to go back upside right now, so okay. Nice little upside move. Oxy's on here as a sell, but really not that much. There's Apple with a bid upside, so Microsoft goes bid as well. Look at that name. Wow, good. That's why you have stop order. I look at this and I say kind of unlucky, but honestly, it's good that we had to stop because there goes Microsoft shooting up to day's high again and just taking out all of these levels. This is just a bull market right now. All the shorts, all the longs seem to win, like my AMD longs. The Apple shorts, although were my #1 stock today, and then AMC, but I don't even see AMC on here right now. So it's a pretty blah board, to be honest with you. There's not much on here.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it looks like we got out of Dodge the right place on AMC. It's just, you see that support level, and it's not. It was pre-market that was that low, right there, 1885. Then it turns into resistance. It breaks back up, and it's sort of obvious. It's telling you where the key line in the sand needs to be before you do this. Like, it just falls down a hole. We break that support. I'm already out of it, and then it drops like 30 pennies. So you always want to make sure that you're not just sitting there holding the bag. I can still believe it can rally or want it to rally, whatever it might be, but ifs and buts. If it's ifs and buts, we're candy and nuts or
That's
something
what it
along
is.
those
Yeah, that's
lines.
what it
Yeah,
is.
so I just got trailed out of Alibaba. It'll be a good one. So thankfully, Alibaba, I got away from the long today, that's important. Like, I had that line in the sand at 98, and I tried the long, and I had a couple of decent ones in there, but eventually broke down. And the second it broke that level, I wasn't quick enough to short it because the first short was the best short, but once it was below, I only looked short. I might come into tomorrow with the same attitude over there in Alibaba, guys. So be locked and loaded and ready for that.
All right. All right. So, yeah, no, that's fine. Just responding
think,
to
yeah,
something that
go
we were
ahead.
talking about. Okay, so not much. Oh, I want to look at GovX here because it is the last of the ones that I have on board right now. So GovX, well, I mean, I still do have AMC, but like I said, that was a light position to begin with. And we still only have 10% left on this one. It looks like it is coming back down. So I feel like a break of 50 and we'll get out. I mean, we did hit this pretty good up here. So good that we have a couple outs there on GovX. We talked about Monkeypox and all that jazz. So hopefully that'll come through for us later on. To the upside, I do have an offer up here, just in case, but looks like it's going to break through 50, and we'll just take a little bit of profit on the last piece there for GovX. So I think that should be a pretty good one. Let's just see what Microsoft wound up doing. So there we go again. Yeah, that's right. There it is. So it does make that move to the upside. I'm kind of wondering now, like, we get these blowout numbers coming from the mock. You know, is it possible that we wait for stuff like this to happen and then it rips up because it's a buy mock and then boom to the downside? I mean, I don't know what it came out as a final number, but you know, that was a nice move to the upside and then a fade right back down. So we've been doing this for a while, and this does happen. You know, it's just a matter of going back testing, seeing what's going on with these orders, and then if that is the case, you know, you can make APIs and things like that to judge the amount of buy pressure coming out and whatever. So right back there into that level, and then a stop, and then a move back down. So definitely could be something there as I look. I mean, Amazon is crazy. Did I trade
It's
it
a
today? Yeah,
beast,
I
man.
did. It's a monster today, Amazon. I mean, just straight to the upside. It's been like that for a while. Look at this move yesterday. Started at 135, ended at not even like at 140. 40.50. Today the move kind of similar. Starts down here at like 139. It looks like we'll end at 142, but still a nice move up for Amazon there. Again, another 2% into a pretty flat NASDAQ day, only up 0.29. So yeah, this name continues to be the beast. Like up 40% in like a month for Amazon. Wow, what a great quarter they had, and it's off to the races for AMZN. Let's see if any of these other names can sort of rinse and repeat that Amazon trade tomorrow. I feel like there are some good ones, including what I'm looking for here, DraftKings.
Yeah, interesting. Not only aftermarket tonight, guys, but a few tomorrow as well. Even some weed names. Does Canopy have any earnings?
No.
Well, I was actually saying to Sean there, it's a little sneaky move by AMC Networks to have their earnings before the open after the AMC one's out. It's like, you know, if you get like a crazy run, maybe a few people make that tiny mistake where they're looking at the wrong stock. And if you don't think that's a thing, what was that? It's TLSA. I've seen people, look, it's a ridiculous mistake to make when it's a penny stock, but stranger things have happened. Like, it's a nothing. I don't know anything about the company. I shouldn't say it's a nothing stock, but it's happened before. We've seen pink sheet names occasionally get a bit of a run because they share a ticker. But I find that interesting. Sean teed it up and said that we have DraftKings, but also Virgin Galactic, which we don't really talk about this one too much anymore. But anything these days with a short float that's beaten up, you might as well pay attention to it, right? Like if it's made a bottom, if it's gotten crushed, if it's down 90% or whatever percentage it might be, and it's starting to bounce, then you got to look for it, right? Like Lucid, there's nothing good about Lucid's earnings, but it went up anyways at 9:30 because it had decent short float. And you saw the same thing with Lordstown as well. So this will be on the radar, if anything, just because of that. Every single earnings name with a short float I care about. I care about Block as well. That'll be a good one. And Beyond Meat has been gapping up and selling off the last couple of days here. Today, same thing. It actually gapped up and is going to close the day flat the last I checked. So Beyond Meat should be on our radars. That is the largest of the short float names that is reporting it this week, at least I believe.
Yeah, what's up? What's up to everybody there? Yeah, no, it's funny. You said Jeffrey always wins, but he means Jeffrey Bezos. So I thought you meant Jeffrey Securities there coming through on some sort of an upgrade. All right, we just did take out AMC there at 1880. I mean,
I like
it did have a move upside there. Obviously, we waited out for it. I said that we liked the 1940 break. So if I liked that break, then I was waiting to get out on that break, but it didn't happen. Oh, I was willing to go longer, but I didn't want to get out of my position if I didn't think it was coming up here. So with only 4 minutes to go, we can quickly look at the imbalance locator. Get out of here. As there's,
That's
I
the
think
fly,
there's just
right?
one random fly around. Bank of America on here. XOM as a sell, as oil continues to be a funny story there at 88. Not a funny story, but come back into 88 bucks, which is great. I think my tank is like about 15% right now, so we'll try to fill that up right now. JP Morgan with a buy. I mean, it's return of the banks a little bit, but JP Morgan's still only at 112. I mean, it's not like this name is doing anything. It's actually going. The chart of JP Morgan actually is not, oh God, we have all those things there again. You're still barcoding at the bottom. Like, let's just check out Goldman Sachs. I feel like Goldman Sachs actually Goldman Sachs made a move back up. Goldman Sachs' bottom was 270 and change. Look at this. Look at this move for Goldman, man. I mean, this is the bank that I've been buying recently, Goldman Sachs. Let me check out Morgan Stanley as well. If we don't, I always do NQ for Morgan. I don't know why. Did it switch at one point?
You know
for
what, I'm
some
not
reason,
sure about
I'm
that
thinking
one.
like Morgan Stanley used to be. I mean, it wouldn't make no sense to be on the NASDAQ. I just don't know why I have that in my mind. Yeah, Morgan Stanley nicely. I mean, still nicely up. It's very similar to Goldman Sachs. Citigroup, of course, had that monster move as well off earnings. That's sort of what started all of this rally when we saw Citigroup's earnings come up. But again, after that day, they're kind of still just hovering around the same spot that they were since then. So it's really just JP Morgan here that seems to be struggling near the bottom. So it's the one name that really hasn't taken back off yet. So I don't know, maybe get some relative strength in JP Morgan coming through.
I got one for you.
Right now it's been pretty weak. Forget about Canadian banks, but
Whoa! Shots fired. Shots fired. No, I was just.
well, no, they're completely different banks.
They are, but TD has the most U.S. exposure. The only reason I bring it up is because the bear cave came at them. As well. A bear cave, they're those the short seller report people. They had another one today, as a matter of fact. So they've been busy. They've been busy definitely at some of these lows. So the market's making lows for beat up names, and then you get a few more short reports coming out.
Yep.
Near the bottoms. That makes sense, right? I mean, short's got to get out too. But yeah, some of the banks been hurting. With only about a minute to go, we do have Tony on the bell.
Hey-o.
You probably know what stock I'll be watching into the close. Same one we were trading. AMC dropping a little bit here, but about 1 minute to that close. They're going to be after the bell. It's a loaded up board when you're talking about like Expedia, Lyft, Virgin Galactic, Beyond Meat worth watching as well here. So it should be a pretty good one. It's been a wild day today, but I can tell you, the story has been like these opens have been ridiculously wild, and the close, it's about finding that range, finding that stock that's giving you something off that range, rinse and repeat the best you can, and make sure you get out when a key level breaks, because anything other than that just hasn't been working out for us here. Always works out when we have Danielle Shea coming through with some great obvious options advice in the earnings season, because we still have some big names left to go here. Tony's locked and loaded. I see the boys in the back, or at least I can hear them getting a little bit more excited, so something must be moving into the close that isn't AMC. Not that I know what it is, but it is countdown time. He's there, he's ready, he's looking sharp. Tony, get him on camera in 5, 4, 3, 2, and...
All right, thank you so
Rally
much.
bell.
The one thing is, I see some people talking on the chat, like, we got to get those likes up. You got to hit the like button, over 5,000 watching. If you do, we'll see if we can bring you some earnings plays if there's anything drops off very, very soon. But definitely hit the like button. Thank you so much. We had Tony on, Prad, Luca, everything on today. Daniel Shea we had on. Justin came through as well. So it was a very, very big day. Kind of a sideways. I mean, again, the market, although up today, not great trading, I feel like anyways, in the market. So, we'll hold our cards close, see if we can't, catch a direction, a stronger direction maybe tomorrow. This kind of happens when you're near the end of earnings season, although the earnings board looks crazy, that's for sure. A lot of those names are not going to affect the NASDAQ whatsoever. So as you go, we're going to have to trade some of those earnings names and make sure that we get the right plays through, just like we did on Lucid today, AMC tomorrow. AMD's been great off earnings, but let's go over to Brendan and see how the day wound up.
Afternoon, guys, and a valid attempt, I guess, back to the upside for markets. Again, it was the NASDAQ and tech shares that led the way. 0.4 for the NASDAQ, back in positive territory. S&P almost got there, made a valid attempt, but didn't quite get there. Remember, tomorrow, 2:45, Steph on the show for good, guys.
For good?
For good.
Okay, well,
there it is.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out on the show for good. So on our show, I'm guessing that's what's happening tomorrow.
Forever?
No, definitely not forever, ever. Okay, so let's just, I just said let's just come over to my chart quickly here for Lucid, because I said some names you're going to want to trade the names that are moving around in earnings plays. But I mean, look at Lucid. It had great moves in the morning, but then really nothing in the afternoon. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. I'm hoping for Square to come through, so that should be really good coming out very, very soon. But yeah, really exciting for tomorrow. Steph coming on the show 2:45. She'll be there with more and more updates. And sitting beside Brendan. So that should be really exciting starting tomorrow. And tomorrow's Friday. So is it? Yeah, it is, right. Apparently it's pouring rain outside.
It's Friday. You ain't got no job. You ain't. Anyway.
Yeah. Hopefully
we got a job.
jobs.
It's a line from the
There
movie.
goes Square. This is what we're waiting for,
go.
man. This is the big report for me, man. This is what I want. I want to see Square go back up to the upside. A nice little shot here in the arm for Square. Square busting out from 90 up to 95. Let's see if it continues to move here. This is a name that just came out. Obviously, as this market comes, there's going to be lots of names coming out. Expedia blowing to the upside as well right now, so that's going to be a good name. But we could check out Expedia, because I just said it, up to 110, 109 or so. And of course, Expedia is going to be a NASDAQ name. There it is, a nice little move up, and you'll see that in a second on the minute chart. Let's go charts. Let's go. There it is. Look at this. 102 up to 109 there. Lucas, we're trying to show the chart here, bud. There it is to the upside. Nice little move up to 109 now for Expedia. So let's see if some of these names can hold out. It's the trade of the day is going to be AMC. We will wait for AMC, although coming out was AMC on the pre-market or
they're aftermarket, but there's nothing out yet.
There's nothing out for AMC yet. But look, we're excited. It's going to be crazy tomorrow. I mean, I can't wait for AMC to come through, as you guys probably can't as well. Already up to 19.13 there on AMC, as that's trying to get back to the upside here. Nothing out, but you can see it is trending a bit higher now for that one. But for everybody here at Trader TV Live, we sort of said everybody already, so we want to thank everything. Brendan, of course, looking. Amgen's numbers are out as well. Expedia out. I mean, lots of stocks popping off. But for Brendan, Neil, and myself, we're Trader TV Live, and we will check you back tomorrow at 8:30. Ciao.